Assemblies set stage for the referendum. So the possibility of Kenya going to referendum became clear yesterday after the Building Bridges Initiative bill reached the 24 county constitutional threshold. In what has now been dubbed Super Tuesday, at least 38 counties had by last evening passed the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020. Baringo is the only assembly that has so far rejected the bill. A section of MCAs have moved to court to challenge the manner in which the exercise was conducted, we remember. So we're still waiting for the outcome of that. The bill will now be transmitted to Speakers Justin Muturi of the National Assembly and Ken Lusaka of the Senate. However, at this stage, the role of Parliament is inconsequential in considering the bill before the same is transmitted to President Uhuru Kenyatta for assent and therefore thereafter taken to the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission to formulate the referendum question. So the Constitutional Implementation Oversight Committee Chairman Jeffrey Kioni said in Jeremiah Kioni said in Parliament the bill was not to be altered or amended, as that would require a totally new process. He says whatever is in the bill will remain. If any changes are to be made, we must go back to the people and kick off the signature collection afresh. It will also be a single question referendum. So we know that so far, that it will be single question. They're going to wait and see what that question will be. The National Assembly Chief Whip, Emmanuel...
I can tell you the question. Do you support the amendments proposed in the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill?
So the answer will be yes or no.
No.
Right.
Done.
So
not multiple choice.
No.
Maybe, perhaps, tomorrow.
I'm feeling a certain type of way today. No.
Yeah.
So Wangwe said yesterday, rather he termed the development from the county assemblies a game changer and a pointer to the right direction. He says the MCAs have shown the way by endorsing the bill and captured the pulse of the whole country at the grassroots. Kenyans are ready for change. The National Assembly has also done second reading of the referendum bill, and Thursday will be the third reading. He also said MPs were ready to give their verdict on the floor of the House, and Wanjiko would have the last word through the referendum.
Okay.
All right.
Nisawa ende.
You know, what I had hoped to see, at least in one of the headlines, is something like victory for Kenyans.
Yeah, not victory for
Not victory for
Raila.
Ruto.
Well, everything that has been said about the BBI has focused on how people will benefit. But I maybe I missed it somewhere. Maybe there is a
headline like that.
Which I've missed. But I don't see it. I actually don't see it. It's the same narrative.
Maybe the victory for Kenyans headline will come the day after the referendum results are declared.
Maybe.
A new dawn for Kenya.
Because what we're seeing, what BBI success means for Uhuru, Ruto and Raila.
Yep.
DP allies, it's too early to celebrate. Uhuru, Raila win big as BBI sails through. What next for Ruto as Uhuru and Raila win? I mean, that's what we're seeing right now.
Yep.
Across the board.
But that's what it is right now. Right? That's what it is right now. The matter has been spearheaded by Uhuru and Raila.
But touted as a solution for Kenyans.
Yes. So for now,
we are in the conversation
because it is their initiative. Now their initiative passing through the county assemblies with such
who are the people's representatives.
Yes. So their initiative passing is a win for them.
You know, it is indeed a win for them. It is, without doubt. All I'm saying is that when you are in the political game, you are politicking with people's lives and their livelihoods and their futures, okay, as well as their present. So they are an integral part of that conversation, no matter how you look at it, at whatever point you look at it. Yes. That's all I'm saying.
That's very true. So from this point on now, the next thing is going to National Assembly. You know that thing of you kept saying the bus left the station. The train left Syokimau a long time ago.
I told you that it actually got to Mombasa and it boarded the ship and it is going. I told you
it's
this.
in the high seas.
I said this thing is in the... I don't know why people are talking about Suji boarding. It went. It's in the high seas. So you just keep discussing the train leaving Syokimau. It is okay.
Wow.
Maybe it's another train. But the BBI one...
Maybe it's the afternoon one.
That one left a long time.
And went Kitambo.
It went.
Even the issue of amendments. I've seen what headline have I seen? No. It's It's the editorial by The Nation today. And the editorial by The Nation, if you just give me a moment to get there and just read for you the headline of the editorial by The Nation. Kwani, they've changed the page. See, it used to be on this page. Now it has gone to page 16. Here is the editorial. Let BBI bill capture all views and ensure fairness. So they're saying, because this reform agenda is now entering the home stretch after a majority of the counties voted for it yesterday, after the vote, which was on Super Tuesday, the tally of the counties rose to more than 30, surpassing the constitutional threshold, paving way for debate in Parliament and ultimately the national referendum in compliance with the Constitution. Although most counties have voted for the bill, that does not mean it is unanimously accepted. Strong opposition exists, which has to be handled democratically. Groups of politicians, religious leaders, the civil society have put up a strong fight, challenging various provisions in the proposals. They have valid concerns that should be acknowledged and remedied. So, we ask the two principals, the president and the opposition leader Raila, to listen to discordant voices and avoid the hard stance they have adopted. The proposals should be refined before going to the plebiscite. Now, this is where I'm faulting the editors of The Nation. The proposals should be refined before going to the plebiscite.
What?
That thing is in the high seas. Constitutionally, the moment those signatures were submitted with this bill to the EAC, to the IEBC, that was it.
Yes.
You cannot reopen this document.
That's
the
it.
county assemblies cannot reopen the document. The National Assembly cannot reopen the document. There are no changes that can be made to this document at all. That thing of at you want now, no. Let's see at this. Let's look at this at this ombudsman.
Done,
It's
dusted.
not going to happen. What did we hear Wangwe said yesterday? Just from this, he already said this bill is going to go as it is.
Yep.
There is no change that's going to
That's
happen.
what the law says.
If in any kind of assumed reality that it would change, we have to go back and start again.
Who's going to go
And
back?
who's going to do that? Nobody's going to do that. Nobody's going to do that.
That
Not gonna
door was
happen.
closed, and I think that was very brilliant of the two principals. Make it a popular initiative, because when you make it a popular initiative, once you've done the bill, there's no debate of the bill at any point where you're saying now let's open the bill, let's introduce amendments. Once you collect those signatures, that's it. That's it. That thing is sealed. If it was going the other way around, maybe it goes to Parliament.
Yes.
There would have been, no. Somebody proposing an amendment here, somebody proposing another amendment, taking forever on amendments.
Look,
Now it's done.
Parliament is ready to vote. Okay? What does that tell you?
Sorry.
Vote. Forget first reading, second reading, third reading. Ready to vote. What does that tell you?
Now, as in, let's do this thing.
Yes, as we speak.
We are done.
Yeah.
We are done.
You know, when I look at it, I'm beginning to think that these two Kenyans were actually quite strategic.
Yes.
Yes, because if you have someone who opposes you, you know how it is that it has been said Uhuru doesn't speak, doesn't do this. I'm beginning to think it's strategic, and I'm going to explain why I think it's strategic. Let your enemy show his hand. Sit back and watch. Let it be interpreted as weakness. Let it be interpreted as you see fit. But when you show your hand,
It's decisive.
it's conclusive. I mean, anything else that has happened before, so you suddenly look and say, why did we think that was that? Because, listen, look at our friend, the senator.
Irongo.
Yes,
Irongo
yes.
Kang'ata.
And what he said.
Yeah.
What are we seeing? It was emphatic,
Yes.
and I think it was timely, but it may have been remedied.
I think Irongo Kang'ata's letter has secured most of these votes.
Yes.
25 minutes to 7 o'clock. Let's take a break to see what's happening on the roads, and then we look at other headlines. Good morning.
24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM.
Japan biotechnology. Yes. Hey, Samuel, are you into business now? What are you importing from Japan? Knowledge. I'm going to study biotechnology in the best university in Japan. I applied and ta-da! Japan? Yes. You will have to first learn Japanese. No, my friend. They have more than 850 courses that are provided in English and very affordable. Hey, how do I apply? Kuja Osome Japan. Study in Japan Global Network Project brings you an opportunity to study in Japan. Log on to www.studyinjapan-africa.com and apply to study in Japan with over 100 universities providing cutting-edge science and technology courses including the field of robotics, artificial intelligence, AI, environmental studies, information technology, and many more. Not only postgraduate but undergraduate level is also covered.
All right, so
Traffic.
that day, traffic has already started on Thika Road and as far back as Githurai this morning. So a headache has already begun. Yes, it has, unfortunately, and quite thick as well. Let's look at other parts of the city. It's building up very slowly on Mombasa Road as well, right around the SGR, then moving out towards the city centre. Okay, so we're also seeing traffic coming out of Westlands this morning, going towards the city centre as well. Slow, but it's moving. We also can use the bypasses of Red Hill. You can also use the southern and eastern right now. So apart from the drama that we see coming out of Githurai right now, nothing looks too bad at the moment. Let's look at Jogo Road heading out towards Landys Road. We will see that it'll build up for some time and moving slowly, but not too bad. We'll take a look in about half an hour or so. Talk to us on Spice FM KE on Twitter. Text on 40127.
Spice FM, Malindi. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
So we'll talk about the Super Tuesday later on in the show. For now, let's look at other headlines in the papers.
Okay, so unfortunately, look, I feel that every now and then we need to share these stories when we see them for us to really understand what's going on. All right, triple murder, woman, son and her lover found dead. Who killed them is the question. Decomposing bodies of a government employee, her alleged boyfriend, said to be a university student, and her 8-year-old child were found in her city house yesterday when the boy's father went to look for them after the grade 2 pupil failed to go to school for 3 days. And so now this unfortunate incident was found yesterday. Police are investigating the murder of a woman, her son, and her boyfriend inside their house in government quarters in Nairobi. Charity Cherop Cheboy was found dead in her bedroom in her house in government quarters on Jogo Road after her son's father frantically looked for her for 2 days without success. The 34-year-old was an employee of the Registrar of Persons Department stationed at the Mathare Huduma Center. Her son, whom neighbors knew as Alan, was to turn 8 in a few weeks. The boy was a grade 2 pupil at the Mary Immaculate Educational Center and Primary School. The last victim is said to be Charity's boyfriend. He was identified by neighbors as Kevin and reported to be a university student. He was not a regular visitor to the house, but when he did, he stayed for a few days or weeks. The last time Miss Cheboy and her son were seen alive was on Sunday afternoon, buying groceries after coming from church. Described by neighbors as a staunch Christian, Cheboy rarely missed a service at Our Lady of Visitation Catholic Church on Jogo Road. Nothing looked amiss until the management of Mary Immaculate Educational Center noticed that the boy had not reported to school on Monday. They decided to call his father to find out since Cheboy's phone had not been answered. Alan's father did not know why his son had not reported to school, but promised to find out. After trying and failing to reach Charity for a whole day, he decided to go visit her at home. The door was locked from the inside, prompting neighbors who had been summoned to help break in. To their horror, a woman, a child, and her boyfriend murdered, is what the initial report said. And this was the incident report from the police.
Remember we were asking ourselves the other day about this woman who was tortured and killed and the body found in Kajiado.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it seems like our thinking and suspicions were correct. Because apparently there was a 20 million shillings tender for a construction of some road project in Kajiado. She didn't have sufficient money. She actually asked some fellows, these people are in custody, by the way, to assist her. And they did. Now, what brings these people to the attention of the police was messages that could be traced to one of them, who said she had been paid, but she refused to pay them.
So the tender had gone through.
It had gone through. She had been paid.
Okay.
And someone had sent a message saying that if she doesn't pay the money, there'll be dire consequences. And that message is what now led the
Being
police.
used.
Yes. We were right in saying, no, there's a little more to this story
There is.
than what we are hearing here.
There is.
Yes.
And back to this story of the woman, her son, and her alleged boyfriend who were found dead. So the boy and the mother were both found holding rosaries in their hands.
Yes.
And the boy appeared to have had some blood which had spilled through his teeth. But this boyfriend was found with hands and feet tied,
Bound.
using electrical cord, and he was found in the toilet. His clothes were splattered with blood. It was not immediately known if the blood on Kevin's clothes was his, since the body has no visible injuries.
So there were signs of physical struggle in the house. The rooms were in disarray. What is baffling detectives is that at the time the crime happened, it's the time that the crime happened. Also, how come no one heard the commotion? And how did the door end up being locked from the inside? Additionally, the bodies of the three were at different levels of decomposition when they were discovered yesterday afternoon. Charity and Alan, which is the mother and son, had decomposed more than Kevin's. An unlit Jika was found in the same toilet as Kevin's body.
So it's like the murderer was trying to paint another story here. Paint another story. So because it appears, so mother and son had died a bit earlier.
Yes.
And then the boyfriend, who neighbors say they had seen him at around noon. He left in the morning and came back around 2 p.m. So it appears that maybe he came back and found
Something going on.
something going
amiss.
on. It's a very, 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 it's one of these stories that we keep seeing every day, and you're wondering, so
Why? It still bothers me
Yes.
that this is the resort that is taken for whatever. Look at this case now. If it happens to be that this lady did, if that is the case, that she did not pay back a 20 million shilling loan that she was given to sort out a business tender, the solution then is to kill her. I mean, if that's what we're looking at now, this case, for example, we don't know what the story is. We don't know why these 3 lives were taken. But is that the solution? And has it come to the point whereby to take a life is the solution, whereby dialogue would have taken place before?
yeah.
I mean, it is worrisome. And it's not just something that's becoming a trend. It is a trend now.
Yeah.
That, that's the solution you seek as opposed to dialogue.
And this matter should actually be addressed again.
It must be.
At the national government level. You've been told, give this thing due focus and attention. What is the mental health of your citizens? Call this a national disaster. Focus your attention on this. It's not in the BBI, so definitely the government is not addressing it. So what exactly is happening? It's a very, 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 very sad story.
Or should
here.
we wait for this process to end and then...
And then now we can have this other.
There's a lot of things that are being waited for
Yeah.
for this process
No,
to
this-
end.
this
Wacha
conversation-
tumalize hii BBI ikipita
Then
tuan-
we'll address that.
tuanze
Actually,
kuongea.
there's I don't think there's a singular understanding of this issue. No. The issue must be brought up as often as one possibly
Yes.
can,
Yes.
because it is something that is worrying.
Yeah.
It is really genuinely worrying. You can't have a trend. I mean, it's like every day you expect to read such a story.
Yes.
Every day.
Every day there is a
There
story.
is a story like this every day. And if you look at the details of it, it is that there was a problem somewhere. Either it has something to do with money or some kind of other resource that somebody's quabbled over. And then the resort is to kill. That's it.
Rest assured, the first person the police are going to look for, or if they're going to call to help with the investigation, is the father of this child.
Yeah.
Because that's a different person. That's the first person they're going to call.
Yeah. So the Juja MP died, and this was the news coming out of Juja yesterday in the morning, right?
Yes.
And he had died after a battle with cancer. So MPs who went to visit the home and condole with the family were raising concern over the burden of cancer. The two houses of parliament have spoken passionately about the burden of cancer on the national economy as they mourned the Juja MP Francis Waitito, who died on Monday after a long battle with the disease. The lawmakers raised their concern about the high cost of cancer treatment, warning that despite the disease being one of the top 3 killers in the country, it remains largely forgotten. This is what our members of parliament were lamenting about. They were citing less attention from the state, and they challenged the government to equip healthcare facilities to fight the disease. While the senators are calling on the government to capitalize on Waitito's death and facilitate modern cancer facilities, the National Assembly called for a national prayer day for the 12th Parliament, saying the House has seen its dark days following the death of 10 lawmakers. You now tell me. It's unfortunate that this gentleman died. The gentleman had actually taken himself to India for screening because his family members had passed away with cancer, or had been diagnosed with cancer. His mother had been diagnosed with cancer. His sister had also been found with cancer. So he was like, all right, this seems to be running in the family. Let me go get tested. Found to have cancer. Started treatment. It deteriorated. Now, members of parliament who should have taken this matter. Remember when Ken Okoth died and they came, they said the same thing we are hearing here today. Do they raise these concerns? Do we see the health committee raising these concerns and saying, no, this is a primary focus and attention that needs to be given to this? No, we don't. So here we are, members of parliament shedding crocodile tears because one of their own has died, and they don't know who's going to be next. Yeah, so, and I just say, let's go to a break. Okay. So on that note, okay, let's just take a break. We breathe in and breathe out a bit, and then we come back and take a look at more headlines. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. It's the Situation Room broadcasting in Nairobi on 94.4 across the country. And also, we are live on Spice FM KE, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And in the next 13 minutes, we'll be live on KTN Home as well. Good morning.
Japan biotechnology. Yes! Hey, Samuel, are you into business now? What are you importing from Japan? Knowledge! I'm going to study biotechnology in the best university in Japan. I applied and ta-da! Japan? Yes! You will have to first learn Japanese. No, my friend. They have more than 850 courses that are provided in English and very affordable. Hey, how do I apply? Kuja Osomee Japan. Study in Japan Global Network Project brings you an opportunity to study in Japan. Log on to www.studyinjapan-africa.com and apply to study in Japan with over 100 universities providing cutting-edge science and technology courses including the field of robotics, artificial intelligence, AI, environmental studies, information technology, and many more. Not only postgraduate but undergraduate level is also covered. Mention our course, you will not fail to get it. Visit our website today on www.studyinjapan-africa.com.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
All right, so
94.4
let's look at
Spice
more
FM.
headlines in the papers at 11 minutes to 7.
The Business Daily.
Yes.
How Rotich diverted 11 billion for Aror Dam. Apparently, the DPP Haji says former Treasury CS facilitated direct payment to Italy's SACE insurance bypassing the consolidated fund. Apparently, when you borrow money for any government project, it must pass through the consolidated fund. But there's also an additional twist to this. Apparently, in what was presented as a government-to-government facilitation of money, happened to be actually a loan that was secured from a financial institution in Italy, and then paid directly, this 11 billion, directly to the SAC insurance, contrary to the law, which requires, as I said, that all such monies should first of all go through the consolidated accounts in Kenya. But if you look at the amount that we're talking about, okay, it isn't just one. Money was borrowed. Remember, we had this conversation some time back, and someone was saying that, what you need to be looking at, forget these big things, it's in the borrowing, okay? What are the details of the borrowing? Because we are paying now, okay, these things that we're paying for as citizens, Were they government projects? Were they borrowed in the name of the government? And then, of course, there's a question you keep asking, then where did it go to? I think the DPP is pointing out as this is one of those cases. Remember, there's a total of 24 billion, all right?
Yes.
And all of them seem to center around banks somewhere in Italy. Okay. Now, where the problem arises, or facilities, or even the people who are actually mandated to do the project, the problem is laws were flouted. These monies were presented as government borrowing, government to government, yet they were not. Yes. So essentially, you have a situation where the CS Treasury was using the powers that he had, according to the DPP, to actually do things which were completely contrary to the law. This case continues.
Ay, my friend. Kitaumana. Kitaumana. There's a tiff, a big tiff, between Senior Counsel Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi and now that Dr. Justice Mutunga told us, I mean, it's best just call someone Chief Justice. Former Chief Justice David Maraga. So, Ahmed Nasir has been saying, and in fact, he's even serializing some story that's being published in The Nation, talking about, you know, the conduct and
Exactly.
performance,
the inadequacy,
yes, of
the immediate former
Mr.
Chief
Maraga.
Justice. Yes.
So basically what he's saying, why Maraga was the least qualified for the Chief Justice job. The process of recruiting Maraga's successor should have checks and balances. He made a name for himself because he wanted to be judged by ordinary Kenyans, and this is what he's alleging here. Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi says, you see that whole decision that was made in 2017 to nullify the election, the presidential election. Ahmed Nasir is saying this was Maraga calculating a move here to endear himself to ordinary Kenyans. But the man, according to Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi, was the worst Chief Justice we could ever even imagine having. The Chief Justice is not taking this lying down. He has actually challenged this matter in court and he has sued Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi.
Let me ask this question. Why is it being presented, because I've read that article, as though the Chief Justice had the sole mandate to make that decision?
Of course, he did.
It's not him who made that decision.
It was a decision of the majority.
Yes, number one. Number two, surely are we saying that Ahmed Nasir's perspectives are superior to those of the bodies? The Judicial Service Commission, Maraga didn't elect himself. He didn't appoint himself. He went through a process and he was appointed.
Yeah.
Is he now trying to tell us that all these other people who are eminent in their own right sat down and decided Maraga was best for the job, and that he alone, Ahmed Nasir, is the one who understands how incompetent these people were, in so saying that the people who appointed him or helped appoint him were also incompetent?
Some of them were his former colleagues because he served in the JSC.
He did. Until he couldn't serve.
Yeah.
Precisely. So, let me give you my interpretation of this. Whose good books is he trying to get into? And which begs the question.
Or what tiff exactly is he having? Because
who doesn't he have a tiff
it's
with?
actually not starting now. The issue of
But who doesn't he have a tiff with?
Of Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi and Justice Maraga, even when Maraga was still in office and raising issues about corruption, and especially he has an issue with a certain judge whom he doesn't name, whom he says received a bribe sitting in the Supreme Court, received a bribe of over 200 million shillings. And says, you see, and Justice Maraga is the president of that court, and he has not dealt with corruption in the judiciary.
I think he's accusing Maraga of the things that he himself is doing, because if ever there was self-promotion, this is it.
This is it, man.
Look for an eminent person in a prominent position, all right?
And attack them.
No, attach your name to this and attach it adversely.
Yeah.
Of course, you'll get the press that you require.
But is it possible that if we actually just separate the messenger from the message, that if you look at the message, maybe there's something that he's saying?
Unfortunately, I'm yet to see it.
Based on his, okay. Basically he's saying, in my opinion, all along from the very beginning, I said this was not the right person to have been appointed, in my opinion. And look at his performance in office. In my opinion, look. we
Well,
have
it
been
would-
left
it would-
worse
it would,
than we
it
would
would
have expected.
appear that he was not happy with he as an individual with an opinion, which everybody's entitled to have, but it doesn't really mean anything here or there. That he didn't like this appointment, so it was like an everlasting axe for him to grind over and over and over again. And whenever the opportunity presents itself, then you're going to stick it to this guy for whatever reason,
Yeah.
because you were not satisfied, you as an individual.
But it looks like
you
it-
must also realize that you're not the only
But
the individual that walks the planet.
It
There
goes
are other
beyond
people
Maraga.
here.
It goes beyond Maraga. It's like there's a need to always present yourself as being someone whose voice must be heard and who must have an opinion on matters that you think are important, and you must have a say. Now, he's clearly having his say, but, and the fact, if I'm to read the article and interpret it, all right, I'm thinking, really, a rather strong statement without much support, because stating something and then giving, say, one example. Look, for every example you give, somebody can give 2 or 3 other examples that contradict it. But as you say correctly, it is his view. If Ahmed Nasser did not have a reputation for always stirring the waters, okay? Because a lot of the time that's what he seems to do. If he didn't have a reputation as having wanted to have a great deal of say in the legal circles in this country, in the way he presents himself, if he wasn't so present in the social media, if he wasn't someone who always seems to have an opinion on something, then I would have thought differently. But I look at all these things and I say, this is a person who seems very determined to promote himself.
Because what's happening
Maybe someone
now
else
is
would have
that
actually looked at it
everybody-
and said, this person is one of those Kenyans who stands up for what they believe in.
Yes, there are people who would actually say that, but his own colleagues who determined whether he should have stayed in the JSC didn't seem to think so.
Well, his tenure expired, non-renewable, after he served 2 terms.
My friend, when I say didn't think so, there are people he sponsored and whom he wished, and it was in the public domain. Unfortunately,
That didn't happen.
it did not happen.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. There's a man who won a 225 million shillings KEMSA deal while working in the Middle East. You see this circus that's happening in the National Assembly, in this parliamentary committee that's investigating what happened at KEMSA, the Public Accounts Committee. So a gentleman called Joel Ndegwa is the director of Meldian Enterprise Limited. He was working in Iraq in 2018-2019, working for an aid organization. While he was abroad, he saw the opportunity in December 2019 while in Iraq and called his wife, Lydia Kariuki, who's a co-director of the company, owning a majority shares in that company, and told her, look, make arrangements. There's going to be a need for things to do with PPEs and such. When KEMSA is ready, go and present our papers and bid. He says, based on what was happening in Iraq and other countries, I knew it would get to Kenya. So I told my wife and we sent our employee, Margaret Murage, to KEMSA. She was director of the procurement department. When Murage went to KEMSA offices, they had already been awarded the tender to supply 30,000 PPEs by Tuesday the following week. They went on Friday, and by the following week, it was an emergency. The following week on Tuesday, they got the tender. Now, I don't know why it's an issue. But anyway, as I was saying, this is a drama that's unfolding
around this whole KEMSA
around
issue.
this whole KEMSA issue. There are people who need to be called, and they're not being called.
The people whose names have been linked
Beneficial
to a lot of all
owner.
of these beneficiaries, etc., or directors of companies, this, that, the other thing, ghost owners. They know the names of these individuals. They know where they are. They don't want to call them. They want to call the little fish who have nothing in terms of influence when it comes to these cases.
I actually wonder why we even discuss this thing, because they're wasting our time.
They're wasting our time and theirs and money to continue having these sessions
They're
to call
sanitizing.
irrelevant folks who will not be able to give the answers that you're looking for.
You're
They
telling
don't
me
really
that young
want to know
lady
the
who appeared
answer.
the other day, who clearly cannot possibly own that, not even if you stretch your imagination to whatever nth. No. Let them find something else to do.
Okay, let's take a look at traffic. In the next hour, we'll have a conversation with our friends in Japan, Dr. Midori Daimon, who is in Japan, and she has a colleague. And we're talking about studying, living, and working in Japan. Good morning. It's 7 o'clock.
Sugar and spice.
Spice FM. Nakuru. Traffic.
Okay, still quite heavy on Thika Road this morning. Coming all the way from Githurai, we have traffic that's built up through and through. Getting into the Pangani Tunnel this morning will be quite the feat. Allsops main highway is like a car bazaar, unfortunately. Not moving, guys. Very, very slow. Minor accident on Langata Road today opposite the KWS. Traffic is slow. It's moving, but very, very slow. And likely to build up some more even as it opens up this morning, right? So Langata Road, that's one already going crazy. Thika Road as well. Landis Road, as you get into the CBD, coming from Jogo Road, it's slow, but it's moving, so not too much of a headache. What's the area called? Industrial area is building up a little bit as well. Likoni to Lunga Lunga, and in both directions, that is also slow. All right, so we're going to see a build-up of traffic on Langata Road. We're going to watch out for that one. If you're off Langata Road right now, you don't need to be don't. Southern Eastern looking good as well in terms of bypasses. Not too bad right now. Shall we take a look in a short while and see what it looks like? Let's do that. Talk to us on Spice FMKE on Twitter. Text on 40127. We'll take a look at what it looks like and keep things moving this morning.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to
It's
start
2.5
your day.
minutes after 7 o'clock. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. It is The Situation Room. It's broadcasting on Spice FM, online, Spice FM KE, on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitter. And for the next 2 hours, we'll be live on KTN Home as well from now until 9 o'clock. Let's start the hour with the day's proverb.
Right, let's. You must attend to your business at the market and not the noise of the market.
You must attend to your business at the market,
Not,
not the noise.
no. Focus on your business, not the noise.
Not the noise.
No.
People are fighting here. Somebody's saying, move. Somebody else is trying to outscream the other over what they're selling. Beba, brera, mavulia, brera, mavulia. Focus. What brought you here?
Yes. And focus. On a cold, rainy day, someone rolls advertising and telling you, soda baridi. Soda baridi kwa nani? And you're thinking, yeah.
And they sell very many things, not just one. Dawa ya mede soda baridi Tropicos. Dawa ya mede soda baridi Tropicos. So
And
choose
some
what
are
you
even
want.
specific. They'll even sell you a multi-purpose antibiotic. Suta kwa nani?
Yes. Focus. What took you to the markets?
Wow.
All right.
Yeah,
So
tropical.
let's have a conversation with our friends in Japan, Dr. Midori Daimon. She is the coordinator of the Study in Japan Global Network for the Sub-Saharan Africa office. And today she's joined by a colleague of hers, a friend of hers, who is Dina Ogara. Dina Ogara is a PhD student at the Tokyo University of Marine Science and Technology, TUMSAT. And the ladies are now joining us on the line. Good morning, ladies, or good afternoon for you.
Good morning.
Oh, okay.
Good afternoon.
Midori-san, it's good to see you again this week.
Yeah, thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you.
Right. Dina Ogara, I'm skipping your middle name. Please pronounce your middle name. Sorry, say that again? It's a Cheng. Okay. So Dina and Midori are both in Japan. Dina is a PhD student at the Tokyo University of Marine Sciences in Japan, and Midori-san is the coordinator of the Study in Japan Global Network. As we've been speaking to you, ladies, Midori, we've been talking about the need, what you're promoting, which is that there are opportunities for Kenyans to apply to universities in Japan, and you can go to study in Japan, and you can live in Japan, and also there are opportunities for people who so wish to work in Japan after this. You've been having a number of, sessions and seminars and going around, holding webinars and making people aware of this. Just tell us, what has the reaction and the feedback been so far?
Actually, we have been getting many people who has interest in studying Japan. Also, they have some people, they have interest in also working, and actually some people have interest in a short exchange program also. And it's good to have that some short stay in Japan so that they can get more good idea to take degree course in Japan.
Okay, so now that there's a lot more interest, people are very interested in going to school here and the options that are available. I mean, even as we look at then graduate studies and scholarships today and what is then available for people to come to, can you give us an overview of that? Because we've talked about this in the last couple of weeks, that one of the issues is how to pay for an education if you decide to take it up in Japan. So what is available, Midori, for people to have access to when it comes to financing?
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Now there's some financial assistance, as I explained to you this whole month. They actually mainly there's one is Japanese government scholarship. We can call also next scholarship. This is full covered one, and there's under this Japanese government scholarship, there's two kinds. One is embassy recommendation. So you can apply to this scholarship through embassy, and the application period is open around late April or sometimes more later. Like last year, it was changed because of COVID-19. And also there's another version is university recommendation. So that is, you can apply to university itself directly. And actually today, my partner, Ms. Dina, she is successfully to get this Japanese government scholarship, university recommendation, and now she luckily now she is now in Japan and study her PhD course. And this is Japanese government scholarship, and this is full covered, and so including daily expenses. Like per month, you can get around 140,000 Kenyan shillings. So this is very enough to survive in Japan, and then you can you don't need to work in Japan when you are studying, of course. And also there's another scheme that is like university. University has some financial assistance, like 100% tuition fee with or 30% tuition reductions, or sometimes also there's some scholarship called the JASO scholarship. This one, if you apply to this scholarship, you can get like 48,000 Kenyan shilling per month. So these scholarships you can apply through university where you are going to. So sometimes they can select you who will get the scholarship. They can select you during the selections, like document selection, and when you enter, they can tell you that you will get the scholarship or financial assistance. Also, there's some private foundations. They can give you like one time 300,000 Kenyan shillings one time, and then you can get that financial assistance to survive, start your life in Japan, like that. Sorry, I hope you can get enough information.
And is it highly competitive? Because some of the things that we see sometimes, I mean, just looking at schools across the world, when it comes to then financial aid and finance, is it highly competitive? There's certain things that you must have in order to apply for this scholarships or this financial aid.
Yeah, actually, this especially Japanese government scholarship, makes the scholarship. This one is highly competitive. So and then you have to get a GPA more than 2.3. This 2.3 is very somehow high. Yes. So if you have that academic performance, yeah, you can try to get. Although we can't say that you get for sure. And the other scholarship like tuition reduction is of course there is also some competition, but even during the selection you can give many documents, and then they will see if you have good performance, or if you have good essay, or if you have good research plan. They can see that this is very worth so to get the scholarship. So I can't say that it's too much high competitive.
Dina, so we understand from Midori-san that you are one of those lucky ones who have actually gotten this scholarship. Just take us through the journey of your application for this scholarship. How did you know about this? How did you know about the scholarship and the program? And how did you get to select this particular university that you're in?
Okay, thank you for having me. So basically, I learned of the scholarship through Midori. And what essentially drew me to her was my background is physical and land use planning in Kenya. So basically, there is a growing need for experts in the blue economy. And when I met Midori, she was able to guide me through. So she actually mentioned to me that there's a special program for experts in the field of the blue economy. And so really this drew me to her. So there was, I can say, like a workshop at the embassy that she invited me to. And basically, I attended the workshop. There were a lot of other universities that were pitching, like the courses they offer and everything. And Midori was able to match me to the course of interest. So I would say that it's a process that's largely driven by your interest, your passion, and I'd say to an extent your persistence. Yeah. So coming from that, I was able to begin the process. I would say it's a very attainable process, but it's very rigorous. Okay. So what is the first step is you need to sort of be an outstanding student, as Midori has mentioned, in the sense that you need to have a certain amount, like level of grades, for them to really shortlist you into the first step. Okay. Then once you get through that, your documents, which is basically your transcripts, your CV, and any other like academic qualification that you have, is screened. Okay. So in my case, because I'm on university recommendation, the performance was the entry point, and after having these high scores, then I went into the steps of you now need to make the application. So then again, there's another series of steps. So there are forms you need to fill, but this again is guided by Midori and now guided by the university that has selected you. So in my case, I went through first having 2 interviews. So I had an interview first with the director of international programs at the school I'm in, and then I had another interview with a potential supervisor. And you only get to meet the supervisor if your area of interest or your research concept note is kind of clear, so that then they know exactly who to match you with in terms of expertise and what you're trying to achieve. So then I got to the second interview. And again, at this point, you really have to explicitly explain your interest and then move from there and now get into now the funding support. And I would say that Midori is really being modest, because the funding, really, I would say that Japan is a very supportive country in terms of education, because they literally give us everything. Like if you need something, there are no bureaucracies, no challenges. Like if I ask for something today, I will get it tomorrow. So it's just a question
Dina,
of
be careful. Be careful. If you ask for anything, they'll give it to you tomorrow. And I let my imagination go with it. I'm going to imagine all sorts of things. If you ask for a house, will they give you one?
So, in the context of our discussion, I mean anything academic.
Thank you.
Yeah, so basically, yes, my apologies. So basically, it's just having that persistence, being very clear in terms of the process. I see that there are some viewers who have joined from Uganda, so it's also knowing their embassy requirements, knowing their consular regulations, and kind of sticking to that and just going through the process diligently. And I think that's what I'd say. I would say that for Kenyans, this is a great opportunity, and I would really be happy to see more Kenyans, take up this chance.
Dina, let me ask you this question. Had you made a similar application to any other international university before?
I actually had. So I think one of the biggest grueling or challenges of trying to get a scholarship is you have to make quite a number. So it's not just you apply for one and you're assured of getting it. So I did apply to several universities, obviously outside North America and Europe, then Asia, which is Japan, was the attraction for me. So yeah.
And from the applications that you made, I'm sure you found them equally rigorous. Now, this is a question why I'm asking this question is because if you are studying and you're interested in pursuing a PhD course, PhD courses by their very nature are very vigorous, and they're also very extremely demanding. Now, did you find the course that they're offering you right now in the university that you're at, do you feel that they are as competitive as the courses that were offered by the other universities that you had applied for?
Absolutely. Actually, if anything, I feel that this is even more competitive than what I was looking for, and I'll give you my reason why. So when I came here, of course, there's the usual orientation, etc., but we first got to meet professionals, especially, for example, my sensei. So my sensei is my supervisor, and he plays a very large role not only in the school but also at global level. So he himself is someone very competitive in the industry, and he's able to guide and mentor me and many other students. So already you're looking at having a very strong network in terms of your field. You're really looking at, knowing where you can fit and how you are relevant. So that's just one example. But largely, I would say that, so for my industry now, which is the blue economy, is I'm trying to get into this industry and become an expert. And for that, there's a lot that's required, especially in terms of finances, because of the type of equipment that's used, the nature of activities we engage in, and there's really a lot of support. This program offers that kind of support. And I'd say largely because Japan is a country that is an island country, as you may know. So they're surrounded by like the Pacific Ocean, a lot of oceans, and over the years, their country's trajectory and their experience in this field is really strong, and I'm able to actually learn from this. So it's really an awesome opportunity, I would say.
So, I mean, obviously, there are those who want an opportunity to be able to come out and study, right? And again, as we're talking today, Dina, and maybe you can also jump in here, Midori, later, is that, are you then able, with the scholarship that you've received, those that you applied for, are you able to go to school and actually live well on a monthly basis kind of thing with the scholarship that you have been given, so that you don't have to worry then about, upkeep and things like this? Does it cater well for this?
Yes, I would say it does. The stipend that we're given is, as Midori has mentioned, it varies between basically the university you get to in the region, but it's largely within a certain range. And actually, because that money is largely untaxed, so you're actually getting the money in its full amount, and you're able to live really well and focus on your studies, because indeed that's what has brought you here. You don't need to struggle with looking for work or trying to make ends meet based on the quality of life that is here. So I would say for me it's worked really well, and I thank God because I'm able to focus on what has brought me here. Yeah.
I'd like to ask Midori-san, this question I want to ask you.
Yes.
Yes, you mentioned that the GPA required by most of the universities is 3.9, you mentioned. But what I'm interested in, that is
2.3.
excellent.
2.3.
2.3 you said. Oh, so this 3.9 is my imagination. Okay, I clearly have a very active imagination this morning. But the question I wanted to ask was this. If someone wanted to study in Japan and did not want a scholarship, what would the cost of that education be in the universities that you have on average? Would they be competitive to other universities and national universities abroad, or would they be cheaper?
Oh, okay. Actually, the national university or public universities in Japan, tuition fee is around like 500,000 Kenyan shillings per year, and this is not so much expensive than U.S. universities and U.K. So it's, and also the daily expenses is like 90,000 Kenyan shillings, or like 80,000 Kenyan shillings per month. You need to expense in Japan, but as I told you, that the half of that living cost, you can, if you manage to get just a scholarship, you can survive where you can ready to be only half of that, like 50,000 Kenyan shillings.
Thank you. But in Kenya shillings, what would the cost of accommodation and simply living, on average, what would it amount to? If somebody had a child they want to take to learn in Japan, but they wanted to pay, what would that cost? Living expenses and so forth.
Sorry, living expenses.
Yes, accommodation, food, etc., etc.
Apart from tuition, okay. So that one is like around 80 to 90,000, but it depends on the where you are going to stay. Like Tokyo, as you know, the capital city is very high, somehow high, like 90, sometimes like 100,000 Kenyan shillings you need. But others like local area, but there are many universities in like where I am in Hokkaido is not somehow far from Tokyo, but good city, and then the living cost is not so much, like 70,000 to 80,000 Kenyan shillings a month.
Thank you. The other question that comes to mind, Midori-san.
Dina wants to give
Dina, please go ahead.
personal experience.
Yes, please. So in my personal experience, Midori is very correct. She's giving you a good range. Like she said, it varies by region, right? But for our case, the university is actually having us within the compound. So in terms of commuting, we're not paying much. And also we're living at a subsidized rate. So what you have then is you're not looking at a full, say, 80,000, but let's say between 20 to 35,000. So really, that's what I'm saying. It's a very considerate system. It's only for a year, obviously, because then they expect us to move somewhere else, which they have already kind of allocated. But they kind of want to make sure that you are comfortable, you settle in well, and you're also not struggling. Yeah, so they make arrangements for that. In addition, I do have friends from other countries who are not necessarily on a scholarship, but are able to find work, which is enabling them to support themselves, and it's really actually helping them. So the idea is to just do your best, try and get here, and you will be able to survive. Like, because they are paid within an hourly rate, and I think cumulatively it comes to a good enough amount to pay your tuition and to live. Thank you.
So you're saying that the colleagues that you see who are not on scholarship and they're paying for themselves, they're able to find work, most of them, and just from the proceeds of the work that they do, they're actually able to cover their tuition and their living expenses.
Yes, please. Yes, please. But then also that's it's supplemented, of course, by like grants and everything. So it's really just a question of being very strategic, but it's very doable.
Okay. So, Dina Ogara is a PhD student at the Tokyo University of Marine Science and Technology, and Dr. Midori Diamond is the coordinator of the Study in Japan Global Network for Sub-Saharan Africa office. Dr. Midori, just tell us about any other program that you are planning to have, maybe a webinar where people can tune in and get to learn a lot more about the courses being offered in Japan and the kind of universities that you have in Japan?
Okay, thank you very much. Actually, next month, in March 17th, we have a webinar by our project. So please go to our website, studyinjapan-africa.com, www.studyinjapan-africa.com. So if you go to our website, you can get the registration URL, and then please register right now at free admission, and you will get more information, some scholarship, and also education. And especially we are targeting graduate studies on engineering, science, agriculture, and technology. So please come to our website. And if you have any question, also please come to our website and then inquire us. So that, as Ms. Dina did, we can also connect to the scholarship program, or we can assist you. Somehow long journey, but it's good journey to study in Japan. Thank you very much.
And thank you very much, ladies, and we wish you a great day in Japan. I can imagine that, Dina, you're in Tokyo because you're studying
in Tokyo.
Tokyo University of Marine Science and Technology. Dr. Midori, where are you?
Yes, please.
Now I'm in Sapporo, Hokkaido.
In Hokkaido.
It's northern island. There's many snow outside.
Oh, okay. Enjoy the weather.
Okay.
Have a lovely day. Thank you very much. You can also, if you'd like to catch up on all the conversation we've been having with Midori-san and her colleagues, you can just go onto our YouTube channel, Spice FM KE, and you will find all the videos there. Study in Japan is the name of the videos that we have actually put there. It's a playlist called Study in Japan. You'll find all the conversations that we've been having with Midori-san, and you can then also log on to the website, which is studyinjapan-africa.com. You find more information, and if you'd like to ask any questions, you can get in touch with them. The contacts are right there on the website. 8:27 minutes after 7. This is Kenya's Biggest Conversation. We'll be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life.
Japan, biotechnology, yes! Hey, Samuel, are you into business now? What are you importing from Japan? Knowledge! I'm going to study biotechnology in the best university in Japan. I applied and ta-da! Japan? Yes! You will have to first learn Japanese. No, my friend. They have more than 850 courses that are provided in English and very affordable. Hey, how do I apply? Kuja Osome Japan. Study in Japan Global Network Project brings you an opportunity to study in Japan. Log on to www.studyinjapan-africa.com and apply to study in Japan with over 100 universities providing cutting-edge science and technology courses including the field of robotics, artificial intelligence, AI, environmental studies, information technology, and many more. Not only postgraduate but undergraduate level is also covered. Mention our course, you will not fail to get it. Visit our website today on www.studyinjapan-africa.com.
Spice FM.
Hey, it's getting hot in here. The media has greatly contributed to the moral rot that we experience in this country.
I remember a senior politician telling me, point blank, nobody steals in the field, it's stolen in the granary. So my friend, if you're going to win an election, jipange kwa granary.
I think we are suffering from Stockholm Syndrome. Our violator and abuser is also our redeemer in our mind.
The whole political class, the whole political institution is rotten. It is based on ideals that cannot progress our country forward.
This is the Situation Room. The only way to...
Conditions in Nairobi this morning, highs of 26, highs of 25 in Nyeri, mostly sunny at the moment at 13. It's mostly cloudy in Nakuru, mostly sunny in Nakuru at 14, highs of 25 and lows of 13. Sunny conditions in Eldoret at 11 degrees, highs of 23, coming down to lows of 13. The low will be 20 in Kisumu today. It's mostly sunny at 19, going to highs of 29. 29 will also be the high in Kakamega, mostly sunny conditions throughout today at 17 currently. Light rain in Mombasa now, 31 the high, lows of 25. The rain showers continue in Malindi at 26, highs of 31. It's sunny in Kampala at 21, highs of 27 and lows of 18 today. Heavy thunderstorms now in Dar es Salaam at 25, highs of 31. And in Johannesburg, it's sunny at 15, highs of 20 and lows of 16. The rain continues in Lagos at 27. We're going to go to highs of 34 despite the rain. Kinshasa is partly cloudy at 24, going to highs of 32, coming back down to lows of 24.
Spice FM. Spice up your life. Traffic.
Okay, outbound Westlands today. We know that the Kangemi flyover to Kaptagat Road this morning is closed. It's been marked for demolition, so there's going to be a lot of traffic there. For those who didn't know about that, now you do know, because that is being taken down. You can't use that part of the road. Thika Road, heavy traffic this morning all the way from Githurai, and it's still building up. Everybody coming out from that area just needs to know that this one is going to require a lot of patience today. Coming off of Mombasa Road, also it's slow, but not too bad. It's a bumper to bumper from SGR all the way to Cabanas and then out towards General Motors. After that, you should be all right until you get to Bellevue. Then it slows down some all the way through to the Nyayo Stadium roundabout. Let's take a look at Kiambu Road, where it's jam-packed all the way to the Muthaiga Square. This one also requires some patience. The Pangani underpass also bumper to bumper, right in the middle of traffic hour. This is what we expect. We'll see what it looks like in a short bit. Talk to us also where you might get stuck. Spice FMKE on Twitter. Text on 40127.
Sugar and spice and everything nice. Spice FM.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
The conversation continues right here on Spice FM, broadcasting on Spice FM on KTN Home Online. This is the Situation Room. In the room, this and every weekday morning, you have CT Muga, Nduoko, and Eric Latif. So we'll have a deeper conversation around the BBI now that the BBI is clearly headed towards a referendum, and we'll be joined by MP for Gilgil, Martha Wangari, at 9 o'clock. For now, let's just look at, so if you look at the headlines, you're seeing it's a win for Raila and Uhuru, and it also says, so what next for Ruto, according to The Nation? And the Standard says, now this one also now leaves William Ruto not sure what happens. But let's not forget, it's not just William Ruto who, in fact, William Ruto's supporters who've come out openly to talk about the BBI or against the BBI. There are others who have actually come together and they've coalesced around the Linda Katiba movement. And they have said, look, this constitution as it is right now, the Constitution 2010, is good enough. We don't need to amend it. So clearly, if we are heading to a referendum, and for the referendum, for a no vote to win, it has to surmount the challenge that will be put by the yes campaign. Mm-hmm. So who are these that are going to be campaigning for the no vote? So we have people leading likes like Martha Karua, who's the NARC Kenya party leader. We have others, the civil society organizations, people like Cherotich Sei and others who have come out to say, we are coming together. We're saying, Linda Katiba, we are going to be championing the no vote. How strong is the no vote? Are they shaken now by looking at the county assemblies seeming to go to almost 100% clean sweep of the yes votes? If you go over 90%, we're going to have over 90% yes from the county assemblies. What does that mean to the no campaign? They are starting from very, very far.
Well, it already looks like if I mean, clearly the lines have been drawn, right? Because the question in terms of what will be formed coming to a referendum is yes or no. So it's like the no team has already been formed, the yes team has already been formed, and it looks as though, from all indications, that the side that would essentially choose no has already been pummeled. Just by the results that we saw yesterday and the indications that have been given before that if the optics, if we go by what the optics look like right now, it would seem as though, they've been given a clean beating even before the competition has begun.
Even before the whistle has been blown.
Right. Even before the stage has been set, that they've received a pummeling, and that's what it's going to look like. But you have to also ask yourself then, on what merit would those who would essentially vote for no and ask for others to vote no build their case? And right now, what would it be that you would ask Kenyans to consider then if you would ask them to come out in large numbers and vote no? Because that's what it would be. It can't just be vote no because you're going against yes. There's got to be something that will carry the weight of that decision. And I think that is where now the competition will be.
The messaging.
The messaging is got to carry something heavy enough that will resonate with Kenyans at this point. Because it has gotten to the point where, what we heard again coming from Wangwe yesterday is that it seems that what is resonating from Kenyans to the grassroots, he said, is that they want this initiative to come through. If there is an alternate view from Kenyans, that message has to be just as strong as something like this that's essentially coming from the grassroots, if not stronger. But like I said, from the way it looks now, if we are going to go from the way it looks now, it does look as though the no side doesn't have a leg to stand on.
Oh, they do have a leg to stand on.
I'm sure they do, but from the optics of it...
It may be a leg with a little limp, but they still have a leg.
Nonetheless.
Like, one of the things that I anticipate is a serious shift in narrative. What we were saying was not this, really. What we actually meant, and everything we're saying was this.
From who? From the no side?
Yes. And also, what people must understand, we are not against the BBI. No, not at all. See, we've heard this before. It'll be even louder. And neither do we have a problem with the Right Honorable Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta. No. What we were saying, then they list the things.
I can tell you one thing that it's going to be is that we're not against the BBI. We are for the Constitution. So I think that you'll see a painting of pictures of nothing negative, but then adding to the positive, which in a lot of cases builds a case for many people that we are not against this initiative that you're bringing in. We are for the Constitution, the spirit of the Constitution and the way in which it was set up from the beginning. That's what we are for, to say that we actually want to see these things that we've put into this sovereign law to actually come about for the people of Kenya. And I think when you listen to folks from Linda Katiba, this is one of the things that they talk about all the time. That this document that we had put in place in the first place to govern this country, can we please see it, bring it to
Can
light?
you first implement it?
Yes.
I think I see both messages from the political side and especially from the Tanga UDA wing of Jubilee. Those who will maintain their opposition to the BBI, they will be talking about BBI is not the issue. It is some of those things in there that are the issue. Okay? So they'll have issues with some parts of the proposed amendments to the Constitution. They may have issues with the process of the Constitution amending process. Those that are in Linda Katiba, and this is the civil society, will be unequivocal no to BBI. It will not be that we support BBI, but we want no. They haven't come and said we support BBI in any way. They have said no to BBI from the very beginning. Ab initio, this thing, why do we need to amend a constitution that we have not even fully implemented? So from Linda Katiba, I see the message being no to BBI or anything like that, yes to the Constitution 2010. From Tanga, we will see, BBI.
Yes.
We'll have those ones.
And there'll be a couple of people thrown under the bus as well
while we are at it.
Yes.
Right? So yesterday, last night, there was a conversation that was done on KTN News. And Martha Karua, the Na Kenya party leader, was present, as well as Kivutha Kibwana, the Makueni governor. And the Makueni governor was also explaining himself and saying, he has come out to oppose the process of the BBI. He's come out to oppose the very many changes to the BBI. He has actually even taken a case to the Supreme Court where he wants the Supreme Court to determine whether this is the way to initiate a popular initiative or whether this one is actually a government and state-sponsored initiative. And he was on the show yesterday and he was asked, so what is it that you were saying that you want the MCAs in Makueni to listen to the will of the people? Where do you lie? Where do you stand in this? And this is what he said.
I think it's important to explain for Makueni County that probably unlike several counties, there was public participation, indeed 2 episodes of public participation. So when you have a situation of 95% memoranda saying yes, when you have in 46 venues, that is 87% saying yes, as far as I was concerned, I had to accept that the majority of those who have gone to public participation through the county assembly have said yes. And as a consequence, what Kibwana thought, what Kibwana's position was, became secondary to what the majority of those people said. And therefore, definitely, when it comes to matters of democracy, even when my position, my personal position, is different from that of the people of Makueni, I have to accept that their position
is supreme. So basically, I think he's explained himself the same way we were saying yesterday. I have my views, but look, I am seeing overwhelmingly in all these public participation fora, majority of the people, an overwhelming majority of the people who are attending these meetings are saying, we like the proposed amendments to the Constitution. So now you're there as their leader and you're still saying, no. You just have to say, all right, so clearly are okay with this. And so if the people are okay with it, fine. Let the will of the people carry the day. So this is Kivutha Kibwana. Martha Karua, on the other hand, was asked, so now what happens to the no campaign?
The BBI, or rather the Linda Katiba movement, remains on board and it remains strong. From us, we are saying, a luta continua. I wasn't surprised at all by the passage of the BBI bill by the county assemblies. What with coercion, outright bribery, intimidation, including threats to arrest. You will remember that the Baringo MCAs who dared to vote no are writing statements and with threats of arrest hanging over their heads. Whereas Kenyans are over 50 million.
There you
we
go.
Remain on board.
Linda Katiba is unshaken, is unbowed. They're there. They will still say no to this. The question is, does the Linda Katiba have a sufficient public muscle to actually sway the vote?
Did they bother to garner public support in the magnitude that is required in such a fight? Remember, it's a discussion we've had before with regards to civil societies and asked them, how far do you really go in seeking the mandate of what we call the grassroots, the mwananchi, as we say, mashinani? Or is it just something that happens in our big towns and happens on social media? This messaging sounds good. You have your ducks in a row, but how far does it reach? Are there efforts to ensure that you resonate with, as we like saying, kwa ground? Because the fight you're fighting is with politicians, and politicians understand that ground. So if they take a position, and what you're fighting for is the heart and souls of the voting public, they will beat you hands down.
Well, look at the methods that the proponents of the BBI have used from the very inception. That it has been that they've gone out and explained or told people at the very least that, support this. This is actually what is better or good for the country. Now, those who would come about with a contrary view, if you want people to hear you and really understand what it is that you're saying, then I dare say the same kinds of methods should have been used. Because now what are we seeing is that, all right, as strong and as resolute as this message may be to Linda Katiba, as strong as it may be for Kenyans to say that the implementation of the already existing constitution is important, that message being put out there in as hard as the other of the BBI is coming out, then would have been necessary.
Okay.
I think is necessary. Because at the end of the day, it is Kenyans in the referendum. If you want them to vote no, if you want them to vote yes, there is a certain message that they should have been hearing, resonating, ringing by now.
And who do you think delivers that message to the grassroots? Who are the political leaders we have at the grassroots? MCAs.
Yes. And where does it seem that MCAs are going right now in this particular
MCAs
direction?
are going, they're driving themselves to this public participation forum. That is what is happening. So look, so you've had MCAs, the county assemblies organized public participation forum. Okay? People were invited to come and attend this public participation forum. Number one question that I am ask here and just throw the cat among the pigeons. Do you think these public participation fora were choreographed? Is there a possibility?
Yes.
Of course.
Okay. So the people who are attending this public participation fora are already swayed in a certain direction.
Either swayed in a certain direction or were cherry-picked for this particular public participation. Think about it. Yes, now.
So it's possible.
Choose the people that you want to
There's
attend
a
this
possibility.
public participation.
If
yes.
that possibility was glaring, somebody like Kivutha Kibwana would have picked it out. He'd have said, okay, yes, but the people that are coming for this fora are actually cherry-picked.
I think his constituent, I think his county stands out differently because we've already talked about the fact that public participation happens...
It's a norm.
Normally, anyway. Right? So it wouldn't be anything out of the ordinary. I think that would be a different one.
So
if you look at other areas where you say you called a town hall and then you sent emails and then you sent text messages and then they answered, where this is not the practice normally, then you would say, hold on a minute. Suddenly now you have 5,000 people showing up for public participation and sending emails and receiving text messages. When before they could not talk about a borehole being sunk in that particular place and had public participation. Then your eyebrows would be raised and you'd ask yourself, hold on a minute. So on this particular one, we had adequate public participation. I think not. I think not. I mean, sometimes I think we just need to call it. And
so let's even take the case. Let's take the case then of Makueni and assume that the people of Makueni are so civically awoke that they actually came and participated in this, and they sat down and they listened and they were swayed in a certain direction. Okay, does that mean that the messaging for this BBI within a very short time? Because there has not been any other message apart from what we see politically being reported in the media. There's no civic education that's taken place about the BBI.
No.
So if public participation is where they came and they were told, so this is what the BBI proposes, A, B, C, D. Of course, you have to package your message in a way that shows just the positives. And those that had the negatives did not attend this public participation, then to also bring out the but that there's one A, there's one B, there's one C, there's one D. Can we then say that it's very possible that the message that is actually being sent to the country is on the positives of the BBI, and it's being packaged so well that people can just see, but what's wrong with this thing?
I think it is a repetitive message. And the one that has carried on for a long period of time. I think it is that this is the initiative that essentially is going to save the country. This is what is going to save the country. This is what we feel. And you must also understand that the bearers of the message are popular amongst the people. Already held, they had a place marker in popularity before. So you can imagine, riding on the wings of that popularity, you bring a message, no matter how simple it is. The sway naturally of human beings is to follow what it is you're saying without question. Now, unfortunately, if you don't have a counter message with any kind of counter education, that is what they're going to go with. Unfortunately.
There's something about the BBI that is extremely attractive to an ordinary listener like myself. the moment you have a background of suffering that has been hyper increased by COVID, and all of it amounts to not enough money to go around.
Yeah.
And then the fundamental message that you hear or somebody harps on is how you're going to get more money. It doesn't matter what else you say. It will trump every other message that you can come out. Because, and again, who are the purveyors of this message? An MCA. They can detail for you how that money is going to impact your life directly. When you have a political process that has taken into account things that we discuss in public, but things we don't discuss in public, those who are in the political realm know it, understand it. There's the dog whistle messages of BBI that are not being discussed in the public domain, but they exist. Now, when this messaging is passed on to the would-be listeners who were even probably opposed to the BBI, suddenly realize this thing is not as bad as we thought. That's one. The other thing is this. You're actually being told, you think about it, if you're an MCA and there's more money coming to you, because there's more money for everybody. Yes, some people are getting a little more than the others, but there's more money for everybody. You can immediately see how that is going to be beneficial to you. You can immediately see how, when there's money allocated for you in greater quantity for the development of your what, you'd be a complete mad person, a madman, running mad, running naked, mad, okay? Not to say, my goodness gracious me, do I want to throw this away? Call it political expediency if you like. But you tell me, what other message do you think would trump this? You go to court, it's a court case. Someone says, okay, let's wait and until the court decides. But in the here and now,
it's the money.
It's a simple thing, but it's the money. And then direct benefit, car grant. Immediate. No. You realize, wait a moment, this is not the thing to oppose.
Yeah, I think there's something very, very brilliant that has been deployed by the proponents of the BBI. They have abandoned sort of that whole talk of, political cycle, election cycle, violence.
Forget that.
Inclusivity. They have abandoned that talk of inclusivity completely. If you listen to the president and you see the president has been going around the city and around the metropolitan launching projects, okay? When he stands up atop his vehicle, he doesn't talk about, we've been fighting.
Nope.
He talks about, look, this child in Mathare has been receiving X amount of money as bursary. Well, another child elsewhere has been receiving X times 5 in terms of bursary. Now, more money will come to this child in Mathare as bursary. What is wrong with that? Now, uliza jameni, shida iko wapi? It's money. It's all about the money. And now we as a people, as a citizens, how we relate with government and money is government has money. And government is not us. It's not our money.
No. It's government money.
It is government money.
And now government is giving us money.
Now government is giving us money. So even if they have enough money that's left to pay extra 600 MPs, even if they have enough money to pay
how is that an issue?
See, that's their money.
Yes.
As long as they're giving me some money, I'm okay. Nobody is connecting that this is me who is getting my money and who's also going to pay an extra. Nah. It is that whole issue of how we view government, and whenever we say serikali's idea and whenever we say serikali itafanya and serikali haifanyi, it is who is that, whose money are they using, and who am I, whose money do I have?
Which would be a brilliant inroad.
Story finished.
Which would be a brilliant inroad for the counter narrative, but we don't see that playing out. We just hear against it, no. But you see, these places where when you want the scales to fall off your eyes and so that you can see, that would be the place where these messages could come in. That the counter effect would be actually, CT, this money that you're saying you're so happy to receive is actually yours. The position we should be looking at is something different as a country and actually trying to turn people's eyes in a different direction. And I would say, if we're going to say there's going to be a competition here, if there's going to be a choice should be made, it should be an informed choice. So anybody who wants to come on the other side hoping to win in this competition is going to have to give the underbelly of the real situation.
The public have been informed. There's more money coming.
No.
That's it.
Kenyans don't. You see, the thing is, you see that place where you don't really.
The connection.
The connection is not happening.
Whose
there.
money?
Whose money is it?
No.
This money that's coming
Listen,
to you, people are not
money that
understanding
is
it's actually
mine
yours.
has to be in my possession. Okay? So you are telling us this money, which we all know is nestled in government coffers, is mine. No. No. The only way you make the connection is when you cascade it and devolve it. Even, as we say, machinani, you know who the MCA is. You know someone who works for the MCA. You can relate to this.
Yeah.
This money message coming down to the Wananchi has even trumped the dynasty hustler narrative.
Yep.
Because suddenly people are saying, wait a moment.
It's all about the money.
Wait.
There's going to be more money that
and
is
it's in the
coming
billions, and then suddenly
our budget will rise from 6 billion to 11 billion as a county, and then as a ward we are going to receive 300 million shillings every year, every ward.
You can
bye.
There is nothing you
why
are
am
going
I saying no?
There's nothing you are going to say. Do you see those pictures of people dancing?
Yeah.
They're not dancing because they are happy.
But you see, the thing is, it's not true.
It's a win.
It's not true.
Finally, we get something from that government.
But it's not true.
Actually, it is true.
What money are you getting? It's not true.
We'll have more of this conversation in the 9 o'clock hour when you're joined by Gilgil MP Martha Wangari. For now, let's just take this and listen to what Martha Karua was saying yesterday on KTN Home. She is in the Linda Katiba movement, and she says, we in Linda Katiba movement remain unbowed. Keep it right here.
There's been bribery and coaction. That's what I've said. If the sweeteners were so good, why did the MCAs have to be promised the 2 million in order to pass BBI? And it was quid pro quo. That's what the president promised at Sagana, so as to convince the Mount Kenya and ultimately the MCAs. And I would like to repeat, the MCAs are obviously impressed because of the gift they have received, because of the coercion, because of the intimidation. That doesn't mean the people in the counties are impressed. Other than Makueni, I'm hearing Professor Governor Kibwana say there was some semblance of public participation. Almost all the other counties, there was nil public participation, not even pretense. So it is the MCAs of Kirinyaga who are impressed, not the people of Kirinyaga. But before the referendum comes, we shall have to be heard as the people who object to the referendum, and we hope to break it down to the people, to show them that BBI really is a fraud. It is not telling the truth. If 35% was to go to the counties, it would have been budgeted in the 2021-2022 budget, because when they started the process last year, the referendum bill had already been published. What better way of showing goodwill and showing commitment than factoring that in the budget?
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
It's all about the money. It's all about
it is all about the money. And you see, against a backdrop of already instituted funding from the national government that exists, CDF exists, people see it. Schools are built. And in some places, you have a sign that is even bigger than the project.
Yes.
But they exist. Money to the counties, it exists. People work for the counties. Remember, you are relating directly with these institutions and the monies that they are given. So when someone tells you they're giving more money, it's not something difficult to believe. It's just a short hop. Now you tell me how it is you're going to come up with a narrative to counter this. But without even the proponent saying it, you will be seen as an enemy of development.
But you're coming to tell people, no, it will not be possible. If you are going to get 35%, you can even get 35% now. Wacha. This one is now going to bring the 35%.
And they're putting it in law. What more do you want?
Ring fencing it, protecting it in law. And then you'll have more CDF. You have 70 more constituencies, that is 70 more CDFs.
In a country that's
It is not about 70 more MPs, it's 70 more CDFs.
In a country that's
70
broke.
more 100 million.
I repeat.
In a country that's broke. That's a conversation we'll be having in the next hour. Is Kenya broke? Are we broke or not? Good morning, it's 8 o'clock.
Spice up your life. 102.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
All right, there's quite some on Mombasa Road outbound, not moving at all, unfortunately. Getting out towards Bellevue and then out towards Nyeri Stadium roundabout, bumper to bumper. Moving very slowly this morning. There might be something that lies ahead beyond the construction on the expressway. But we're going to have to take a look-see and see what that's all about. Langata Road moving slowly as well, getting to the roundabout at Timor. Headed then towards Bagathi Way or out towards the Nyeri Stadium roundabout. That's also slow. Coming out of Lunga Lunga in industrial area, that's also slow. Thika Road, let's not even talk about it. It's not moving. Well, okay, it's moving, but it's moving extremely slowly this morning, bumper to bumper in very many parts. Limuru Road, out by the village market, out very slowly towards the Aga Khan Hospital, also slow as well, as is Kiambu Road. 6 lanes now, trying to join with Tiger Square, very slow as well. So that's what we're looking at today. Slow traffic everywhere you look. Let's keep an eye on it, shall we? Spice FM KE on Twitter. Let us know what it looks like in your neck of the woods and see how we can keep it moving.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
All right, it's 2.5 minutes after 8. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. The Situation Room happens every weekday morning, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. and between 7 and 9. We are also live on KTN Home, and we live stream the show online, www.spicefm.co.ke. Also, we live stream the show on our social media handles, SpiceFMKE, on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitter. Let's start the hour with the day's proverb.
You must attend to your business at the market and not to the noise of the market.
You must attend to your business in the market and not to the noise.
Yes, it's from Benin. People who are...
No, it's not Benin, first of all. Ask her.
That's what I'm asking.
What's that country?
Yes,
Benin.
Yes, and the people are called
Beninoise.
Okay. Here I was going to say Beninese.
Or bananas.
Get it
Benin.
right, CT. Benin.
And Beninoise. All right. And that region in Nigeria is called?
Which region?
Okay, forget it.
Oh, the Edo Kingdom. It's Benin now. Bini, actually, is B-I-N-I. But over time, it has been changed. But it's actually Bini, B-I-N-I.
Oh, and then
But then the English came and called it Benin. But it's Bini.
Mm-hmm.
Got it?
Kingdom.
Yes.
With king.
With king. The Oba.
Okay. How many kings are there in Nigeria?
Quite some. Okay. You were in the presence of a princess. Anyway.
Okay, princess.
Right. We're in the presence of somebody who actually comes from an actual recognized kingdom. Max lives there.
Bona fide kingdom with king.
With a king.
And princess.
Yes.
And princesses.
Many.
And do they also have castles?
Yes.
Okay. Oh my
God. Very many. Sky.
Very many.
Not in the sky, castles on the ground.
Ground.
And below ground in some cases.
Kabisa.
Okay. Mohamed Ulia, Senior Advisor to the Saudi Arabia Monetary Authority and our friend on the show. Karibu sana. Welcome to Kenya.
Asante sana. Thank you very much. Thank you for waking me up very early in the morning when I'm on a holiday.
This is the best way to spend your holiday.
Thanks.
You wake up early so that you have longer days and you enjoy your time. You maximize it.
Mombasa road jam.
Yes, all that. You experience it.
Experience, isn't it?
Yes. How else will you know that you are back home?
And how will you be able to contrast it with the lovely drive you had through Isinya?
True. I mean, that's a fantastic place. You can't compare it to Mombasa Road. It's construction and all that. But hopefully the new expressway will ease things.
Hopefully, yeah?
Yes. If you can pay for it.
If we can pay for it. Yeah. Now we will pay. This one we're going to be charged directly.
Yeah.
Get onto the road, pay. And if you can't afford it, kanda uko chini.
Please join the jam.
Kaa uko chini kwa watu wa wananchi wa kawaida wa ground.
Kabisa.
Mohammed, whenever we talk with you, we talk about the economic situation, and then we look at where, as a country, we lie. Do we have enough money? Are we raising enough revenues? Are we spending our money prudently? Are we borrowing well? Are we not borrowing well? Are we spending what we've borrowed? Now, in the last couple of days, we've seen a number of headlines. So first of all, we know that the National Treasury is already in the process of going into the next financial year's budget. They've already taken the budgetary policy statement to the National Assembly. It's being discussed by the committees there. We have seen what they're proposing. We have also seen that they've come up with their supplementary budget, which has pushed their spending a bit further than they had anticipated before. Last week, there was a statement from the Central Bank of Kenya that the Central Bank Board had met, and having considered the situation in the country, having looked at the impact of COVID-19, among other factors, they actually authorized the withdrawal and transfer of some money from the National Central Bank reserves to the National Treasury. Kusaidia wao kujimudu kimaisha, kwa hali ya kimaisha.
Kabisa.
The National Treasury has also now sent, circulars to parastatals and said, how much money City are you making that business of yours? How much uko na pesa ngapi kwa cash till? 5,000 lete. Wewe endelea kuuza matunda. Ukifikisha ingine 1,000 nitumie. This is how we are operating. And which brings us to the question that we want to have this morning. Are these signs and signals of a broke government, or is this normal, Mohammed?
First of all, a lot has been made of the central bank paying 2.5 billion, is it? I think 2.5 billion. That's normal. That's dividends. I mean, the central bank makes money, and they made a lot of money the last financial year. I mean, if you're holding $7, $8, $9 billion, and the shilling depreciates, you make a lot of money. They made about, I think, 40 billion. So if they give the government 2.5 billion in dividends, and it's an agent of the central government, I don't think that shows you anything, because even the previous year they paid more. They paid 4 billion. So I think we should not read a lot into that. It's a normal, like Safaricom pays dividends to the government.
Okay.
They paid more last year than they paid this year. So I don't think it's an indication of anything.
So this is nothing?
No. I mean, they explained why they paid them 2.5 billion. There is no obligation for them to pay. Just the mere fact that they said there's COVID, there's all these issues. And I think that's why people now added 1 + 1 and said, oh, the central bank is paying the government because the government is broke. I don't think that is how we should view it.
Okay.
They could have paid 10 billion. In fact, they should have paid more. They made 40 billion. They paid 2.5 billion. That's fine.
How should we view it, Mohammed? How should we look at the current state of things? All right, so dipping a hand here and then moving things about should not send any alarm bells that there's something amiss?
No, I mean, first of all, we know that the government is in a tight position. We know the fiscal position is not that good. It has not been also before COVID. It's not because of COVID. COVID just made it worse. So let's, I think, see the two things separately, because the central bank has the right to pay dividends, whether there was COVID, whether the government has money or the government doesn't have money, they would still pay. They even paid more, as I said last time. So in terms of, yes, there is an issue of finances from the government perspective, but the fact that the central bank paid 2.5 billion does not mean that there is a problem, because the central bank, as I said, paid more last year. They will probably pay next year. It's not just like Safaricom, all the parastatals or any agent of government where there is money that is made and the government is paid dividends. So
Mohammed, what do we need to see to know that we have a problem?
Well, of course, we know we have a problem. We know how much money we make, and we know how much money we spend. So it's very easy. I mean, we are now servicing our debt. We have to pay an interest of 500 billion. I think if you look at the medium-term strategy document that was uploaded by Treasury last week, we are paying 500 billion to service the debt, not even principal, just interest. And if you assume, even a 5% economic growth, which now is questionable, you're looking at our debt to GDP peaking at around, 70 to 80%, and that's not good. So you can see the numbers, you can see the indicators.
Is it necessarily bad?
Well, it is for a country like ours.
Why?
Because basically we are not a rich country. We are not a creditor. I see a lot of people comparing ourselves to Japan and all those other countries. Japan is a creditor, is one of our creditors. They lend us money. So if they borrow, they have a strategy. They borrow cheap, they lend elsewhere. At the end of the day, they make money. In our case, we borrow because who do we lend money? So I see these, comparisons all the time. Japan is 200%, Germany is this, all these are wealthy countries. If in our case we are spending more money on servicing interest, I mean, the best way to look at it is this way, and for you to just put this into context. You're paying more money to service the loans than you're spending on development. So this is the only thing mostly I look at. For example, we're paying 500 billion in 1 year to service the debt. How much are we spending on development? So that then means the debt has an impact on your economic development.
Look at those numbers, Mohammed. 500 million, right?
Billion.
500 billion paying debt.
Yes.
And oftentimes when we look at that, we say maybe it's absolutely necessary because the country took this money and is then mandated to pay it back.
Yes.
However, usually for the reality of the mind is to say this 500 billion, what could it do in terms of development in this country? And then maybe it makes the picture a little bit clearer. What are some of the things that we could look at and say this could actually be completed? Even if it means taking a step back and say, all right, perhaps if we were not paying this, these are the steps then that the country could take development-wise. What could it actually achieve?
First of all, we paid the county governments, all of them, 47, about 316 billion. So 500 billion is 1.5 years.
Takes care of the counties.
Yes. The other thing is, of course, if I look at this government, for example, they've come up with the Big Four agenda. And it's a very good agenda if you look at it. Universal health, manufacturing, food security, and affordable housing. If we started with this, Big Four agenda in 2013, when the Jubilee government came into place, I think this country would be a different place to live in. Okay, because those are very good things that touch on the people. I mean, affordable housing, food security, universal health. Then the effect the multiplier effect that has, it's amazing. The problem is that came too late when the balance sheet was full. We already spent so much on other things, infrastructure, dams, stadia, the containers, the health, all those sorts of things. Then when you spend that kind of money on those things and you don't feel the impact immediately, or you might not even feel the impact forever because some of those projects have gone dead
in the water.
Then you have to pay for what you've done in the first term. That means you don't have what they call the fiscal capacity. You don't have the space to then do these good things that you've come to think of later on in the Jubilee administration timeframe. And I always told people that the Big Four is a very good agenda if it was implemented, if you have the money. But if you can spend 500 billion, for example, or even 6 or 7 on a single project, it's a very risky thing to do. Because if that project fails, it's just like your home. I mean, if you spend a lot of the money that you have been saving on one single project, if it succeeds, well and good. If it doesn't do well or pick up or contribute to, generate jobs or do so many other things that you had planned, then you're in big trouble. And I think the railway, for example, has consumed a lot of our money. We are not seeing the benefits maybe immediately. I don't know whether we will see the benefits, even in the long run. And that has put us in a very, very tight position.
Well, it seems like we're just hurtling down this mountain, going down a lot faster than, the country went up.
Correct.
And it might seem like a very rudimentary question, but those that sit at these positions where these decisions are made, because as we talk about it now, it seems quite simple to understand, right? I mean, it seems very clear, and it would seem that those who sit in these positions of making these decisions would also understand this. Do you think that they are at grips with the reality of the situation on the ground, in a position to do something about it?
Yes, they do. But you see, the problem is that politics is about resource allocation. And politics is the one driving everything we do. Someone comes in for 10 years or even 5 years and says, I want to do this. Leave, someone else takes over. So it's not that these people don't know. Of course they do. But the question is, there's this urge to spend, maybe sometimes in a genuine manner to try and do something. Also, there's a difference between wealth and liquidity. Right. When you look at debt, for example, in our case, and people talk about debt to GDP, that ties now the country, your spending and your debt to the wealth of the country. Sometimes you might be wealthy, but if you don't plan how your loans mature, how you actually manage the debt itself. So we seem to have a debt problem, and at the same time, we also have a debt management problem. And that has been a big problem for us, because then that creates a cash flow problem. You can be wealthy, you have a lot of money, you have this building, you have assets, but when the debts are due, you need cash to pay for that. And if any external factor, drought, COVID, affects what you had planned, if you don't have a headroom, if you don't have a buffer to try and survive, then you're in big trouble. So by the time we came to these external shocks, we didn't have a buffer. We didn't have a room to play with. So you hit immediately, even yourself. I mean, the household in Kenya, if for those who had saved some money, put some cash or some liquid assets, when COVID hit, people lost their jobs. Right. They have something to survive on. Yeah. But if you are living on the edge and then COVID hits,
you're exposed. You're completely exposed. Correct. Someone is just sending me a message and saying, this is a country of nipe 500 na ngojea deal fulani ivane kurudishia. We're basically operating on that. We're borrowing on hope that I will make the money to return.
If, as you describe it very eloquently, this is the situation that we are in, and it appears that we are unable to manage our own business. So then there is something positive to be said for us borrowing from the IMF, because or World Bank or whoever it is, because they will certainly force us to do things that we clearly have not been doing.
Yes and no, because at the end of the day, the IMF is an external institution. We're a sovereign country. They will give you conditionalities for the support that they give you. But ultimately, we've seen cases where the IMF gave support and they were ignored. So it's not that the IMF now runs the treasury or the country. We're an independent country with a sovereign country. Yes, we have to behave in a certain way, but that does not mean, I mean, look at the scenario we're in now. This is one of the few countries where you do a supplementary budget. You revise your revenues down, but you end up revising your expenditure up. Now, how it doesn't make sense, because I'm doing a supplementary budget. I then find out that, in the last 6 months, I was short 170 billion, the revenues that I expected to collect. But somehow, when I am at the end of the process, my expenditures have gone up. It doesn't make sense. So there is pressure. I think, again, it's not the good time. You've seen that they need to extend or they need to lift the ceiling from, I think, 9 to 12. But I think, in my view, we don't even need a ceiling.
Oh, just remove the cap
ceiling
completely
altogether.
Because
let's
put it this way. Let's put it this way.
You and I have a similar view. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's put it this way. Let's put it this way. We cannot do our budget without lifting the ceiling. So, for example, now these guys will go to Parliament. What will Parliament say?
Increase it.
No. We have not approved it.
No, we are not approving. We can't.
9 billion. Kana hiyo peke yake. So what next then? You can do your budget. Because, first of all, you have to have the space. You already know you have a deficit of about 900 billion. You then plan not for this year, but second, third, and fourth year. No creditor will give you money because they know you don't have the legal authority to borrow. So that's number one. The second thing is that you don't control debt that way. You're using limits and controls like ceilings. Because at the end of the day, as we have seen, they don't make sense. And if they're there to be broken, why do you have that speed limit? You control debt through the deficit. So in my view, I think the better approach to managing your debt and putting controls on it, if I were in Parliament or even Treasury, is through having a limit on the deficit itself. Because it's the accumulation of the deficit that we call debt. So what is the debt that we have? The debt that we have today is the every year deficit from Jomo Kenyatta to Uhuru Kenyatta. All that period, every year when we say our deficit is 600 billion, 200 billion, 900 billion, that is what accumulates as national debt. So if you control your deficit and say my deficit is not going to be more than 4% of the GDP, and you target that, and sometimes you slip over and then you come, I mean, you might not live exactly to that 4%, but there has to be a reason you justify. Then Parliament should operate like that. But if you say, now I'm going to give you a deficit, I'm going to lift this ceiling from 9 to 12. It will take you another 2 years, not even 2 years. We were discussing, I was telling, I think I tweeted this, we talked with Eric when I hooked in online, that when we were discussing from 7 to 9, I said it will not take another financial year before
we've actually hit that, yes.
Correct.
And require. So have we had an administration, have we had a government that have actually been able to reduce our deficit?
Oh, yeah, of course. Of course. I mean,
and what did they
we had a
do?
government, I think, at one stage that almost had a surplus.
He was talking about
I
the
think,
Kibaki government.
yeah,
the
Mirari.
administration.
I think Mirari. I can't remember the numbers, but I think Mirari's first budget. But those days we were operating small time, my friend. I mean, we were collecting, I think 400 billion, 300 billion. When Kibaki came in, we were collecting not a lot of money. Our appetite was small. We were not doing this kind of grand projects, and we were living out within our means because. I think what really hit us hard is the commercial loans, and Kibaki never loved commercial loans. I was told by people who know him and people who used to go to him that if you go to him and tell him that I want to borrow commercially, not concessional, and I want to do this project, Kibaki will tell you to give me all the cash flows, give me the profitability of this project, viability of this project.
All the paperwork.
And then you will never come back.
Dead in the water.
You will not come back. Unaenda tu. So anakuambia. Even the railway, I think it was put to him, and he gave them a hard time. So I think the deficits can be managed, but even if you look at the IMF wording of their, agreement, because that's always very, very carefully worded. They're talking about primary budget balance, which means your recurrent expenditure has to, balance with your revenues going forward, and that means we have to cut either expenditure or we have to
raise more money. Which is gonna be 25 minutes after 8. We're having a conversation with Mohamed Ulie. He is a senior advisor to the Saudi Arabia Monetary Authority. He's Kenyan. He works in Saudi Arabia and lives there. He understands a lot about what's happening in Kenya and the economy of the country, and that's what we're having a conversation with. Is the government broke? If not, what's up? If it is, by how much? Keep it right here. When you come back out of this quick break, we'll be continuing the conversation. We're live on KTN Home, on Spice FM, and online.
Sugar and spice and everything nice, just the way you like it.
The Spice Drive.
Did you have a great day? I hope you did. I intend to make it better from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. I'm going to be taking you home nice and chill. Everyone is welcome aboard. The hashtag is Spice Drive, and of course, Spice FMKE on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
The Spice Drive with Monique. The official soundtrack of getting you where you need to be.
Japan, biotechnology, yes! Hey, Samuel, are you into business now? What are you importing from Japan? Knowledge! I'm going to study biotechnology in the best university in Japan. I applied and ta-da! Japan? Yes! You will have to first learn Japanese. No, my friend. They have more than 850 courses that are provided in English and very affordable. Hey, how do I apply? Kuja Osome Japan. Study in Japan Global Network Project brings you an opportunity to study in Japan. Log on to www.studyinjapan-africa.com and apply to study in Japan with over 100 universities providing cutting-edge science and courses including the field of robotics, artificial intelligence, AI, environmental studies, information technology, and many more. Not only postgraduate but undergraduate level is also covered. Mention our course, you will not fail to get it. Visit our website today on www.studyinjapan-africa.com.
Spice FM.
Okay. It's 18 degrees and sunny in Nairobi this morning. It'll go to a high of 26 today. The high will be 25 recorded in Nyeri, mostly sunny at 15, and 16 in Nakuru, mostly sunny, highs of 25, coming down to lows of 13. 13 will also be the low in Eldoret, where it's sunny at 15. 29 the high in Kisumu, mostly sunny at 21. It's mostly sunny in Kakamega at 20, highs of 29 today. Still raining in Mombasa at 27, highs of 31, highs of 31 in Malindi as well, where it continues to rain. Kampala is mostly sunny at 21, highs of 27, 25, and light rain still in Dar es Salaam. Thunderstorms seem to have abated a little bit. 31 the high and lows of 25. Johannesburg is sunny at 17, highs of 20. Highs of 34 in Lagos, where it continues to rain. Temperature currently recorded at 26. And it's partly sunny in Kinshasa. Chance of rain later. We'll wait and see. Highs of 32 and lows of 24.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life.
All right, still quite busy on Figure Road today. Also, Mombasa Road outbound, causing some problems for folks as they try to get into the CBD. People opting to use left on off Mombasa Road onto Langata Road and then out through Mbagathi Way. That's an option. The Southern Bypass, also longer route, but is all right today, not causing any problems. So you can use that to get into the CBD, then out towards Westlands. That's an option. Remember that the bridge at Kangami, that's being taken down. So you can't use that route. You must go round it and then use the Red Hill bypass if you're trying to get in and out of that area, right? So traffic is being caused because of that as well. So certain spots around the city giving us problems. Let's take a look at Mombasa, where again some folks have forgotten that you can't use the ferry with cash. You got to use M-Pesa, guys. So that's causing some traffic as well. Out back, get M-Pesa, and then you can use the ferry. The ferries are up, all 4 of them this morning, however. Talk to us if you need to. Spice of MKE on Twitter. Text on 40127.
Are you ready? Okay.
Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
This is Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room on Spice FM, KTN Home and online. In this room this and every weekday morning is Eric Latif, Nduoko and CT Muga. Joining us today for this hour is Mohamed Ulie. He is a senior advisor, Saudi Arabia Monetary Authority. A comment by Robachi Nicholas says, I'm thoroughly impressed by the knowledge and professionalism displayed by Ulie Mohamed. Please, please, please ask him to never join politics. It will not be good for your health, Mohammed.
Thank you. Yes, I do agree with you.
You agree?
100%.
You agree?
Yes.
Another comment coming in and a question coming from Rutherford, who's asking for your views on domestic borrowing and its sustainability vis-a-vis foreign debt.
Well, I think if you look at the balance, I think it's now flipped to more foreign borrowing than when the Jubilee government took over. We used to have more, the mix was more of domestic. Domestic borrowing, of course, has its own issues. It has, it can crowd out lending to the private sector. And at the same time, I don't think we have much more options because you seem to, if the foreign debt is also has got its own very well-known risks in terms of the currency depreciating. If the debt stock that we have in terms of foreign debt, if the shilling depreciates by 1 shilling, we are adding about 30 billion more on our debt. So you can go and sleep and you wake up in the morning and the shilling moves from 107 to 109 and that's 60 billion added. So foreign debt has its own problems, but you've got to manage. There is no one single mix which then says this is the best. It depends on the country. It depends on a particular scenario or situation that we face. And at this point, I think because of the fact that the currency has been weakening, I think it's not a good thing to take on foreign debt. And if you can't take foreign debt, I think your only other option is domestic debt.
Talking of this foreign debt, are there situations where people, yes, borrow foreign debt, but in their own currency, as opposed to the currency of the institution, the people that they're borrowing from?
No. I mean, by virtue of you saying foreign, then it has to be a foreign currency.
It's what you peg it to. Because, for instance, if I peg whatever I'm borrowing to the shilling, then it means that I will be...
But we're not a pegged country. We're not a pegged...
That is what I want you to tell us about.
Pegged country?
Yes.
Well, in Saudi Arabia, for example, it's a pegged currency. The real is a pegged currency, 3.75 reals to $1. It's a rich country. You can afford to keep it at that level because if you peg your currency, you have to have enough reserves in the currency that you pegged in, like for example the dollar, to make sure that at any one time that level of 3.75 is maintained. So in Saudi Arabia we have over 450 billion US dollars in
In
reserves.
reserves.
So at any one time, the country
How
is
much again?
450 billion US dollars.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to. Okay.
So
wrap my head around it.
we're not a we are a free floating currency, and if you borrow in foreign currency, there is always the likelihood that you could pay more or even less. If your currency depreciates, you pay more. If your currency appreciates against the dollar, it's in your favor. So unless you're a pegged country, if there is no way you can borrow, because the only shilling we have is in this country. We don't have, unless there are people who hold shilling outside the country, and then you can borrow from them enough to, do whatever you want to do, and that doesn't happen.
Okay.
Looking at options, I mean, that question before we went to the break in terms of, so what do you think right now the option would be for Kenya? Is it, raising revenue, that say to get us out of, because we talked about it already being a bad economic situation even before the entrance of COVID. So what would be the solution now with what we have, the high debt that is there? Is it raising revenue? Is it now cutting back on expenditure? What is it that would get us out of this hole?
That's a very good question. And the answer is complex. I say that because what is likely to happen or what should happen, those are two different things. And there is, if the country is not run by politicians, which doesn't happen, then what you need to do is that you need to do a serious expenditure rationalization. You have to rationalize your expenditure. We spend 50 or so billion. Look at it this way. We make about 120 or so billion a month. Okay? We transfer to the counties about 26 billion. We spend about 52 or 51 billion in servicing our debt. We pay another 50 billion or so in salaries. That's the wage bill per month. Then we spend about another 50 billion on what is called O&M, operations and maintenance. Why does this country spend 50 billion on O&M?
And what does that mean? And what constitutes this? What is it?
Vehicles, fuel.
50B.
Newspapers for the big guys.
50B.
Flowers
50B.
for offices and things
all
like
these
this.
expenditures.
Even Kilimanjaro and all
anything
that.
that is not what I have explained. Debt, no. Salaries, no.
Counties,
no. Now, if you see a mayor PS, going to his home, Garissa or Wajir or wherever he or she comes from, this PS drives V8.
Yep.
He or she has another V8 or two V8s attached to him that is taking the kids to school. Another one, Ametuma Shamba ranch in Isinya, but he comes from Karachuonyo. Okay? So this is how this country operates. The wastage, you cannot imagine how much money is wasted in government. Easily, that 50 billion we spend per month, if you rationalize it, you can bring it down to about 30 billion. So if you save 20 billion a month,
it's a significant amount.
That is 240 billion a year. And I'm talking about only one line, O&M. Now salaries, I'm not talking about the ghost workers, I'm not talking about all those things. I'm not even talking, and we spend about 25 billion on development. That's the one I left out.
Just by the way.
Yeah. So just 25 billion on development. We're spending more money on
to maintain
the PSS and the CSS. We have cars.
Yeah.
What do? It is a political tool rather than an efficiency tool or a government or a development or what are they there for?
Would you say
there are some cars guys who have never even seen them speak or do anything. In fact, the only cars I know that is very active is Ababuna Mamba. Because every day I know at least
he's somewhere.
He's representing the PS, the CS. Or
he's abroad, he's meeting some foreign
These
delegations.
are just positions that are created for politicians who flopped and who you need their support. So going back to your question, you have to, the only way this country can survive is the country needs a serious expenditure rationalization. If you don't do that, the easy route for the politician is the other side of the coin, which is tax, 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 tax. So you're taxing people to the last shilling, yet that money is going to wastage.
To buy
and that is
flowers.
the problem we have. And that is the problem this government needs to, you need to bring a team together from the government itself. And when COVID hit, we did the same. I mean, a team was formed that looked at every expenditure by everybody in government. And
this
we
is in
saved
the
30%.
rich Saudi Arabia.
Correct. And we saved almost 30% of the expenditure. So if we save 30% of our expenditure of 3 trillion, how much is that? It's 900 billion. So
We put
900 billion is our deficit,
That's
what
our
we are
deficit
borrowing
already.
to survive. So I think we need to be serious. We need to be very serious.
When we
So
put
that
this-
is the hard way to do it, but it's not going to happen.
Because of political...
Because every time we go to elections, that's when things go bad. And this time, because of the fact that we have another process before the election, so we're going to have about 2 years of expenditures that will go out of...
just out. When you're asking the National Treasury CS, Ukuri Yatani, about the issue of rationalization and all and the measures that the Treasury has taken, he told us, in fact, we've done a lot. Look, just because of COVID, first of all, there has been reduction in travel, reduction in meetings outside. So that has saved a lot for the government. And then he says, they also look at people working from home. So all those teas and mandazis and all, the expenditure also reduced.
Correct.
So he swears that this rationalization that you're asking, they're already doing it.
Yes. I mean, I respect Okur Yatani a lot. He's a very good man. He's an honest man. He's one of the few CSS that is transparent in terms of if we have a problem, he would say we have a problem. But Eric, if you're going to save 2 billion in a budget of 3 trillion, if you're going to save 4 billion, 5 billion, yes, those are cosmetic changes. We need a serious cut, at least probably to 30% of the expenditure. Mandazis here, and while at the same time, as I told you, our PS has got 2 or 3 cars attached to him or her, and here you're saying we're cutting on travel and mandazi. It doesn't make sense.
Why do these attempts never seem to work? When Uhuru Kenyatta was finance minister, he started this program and said, look, we are going to make sure that each of these senior government officers is only going to have one pool vehicle. There's going to be a pool vehicle for the 4-wheel drives, the fuel guzzlers, and then we give them 1800cc vehicles.
Well,
so when did that stop being implemented?
People forget very fast, and also the way government operates is mysterious. Sometimes you wonder, I mean, the commander-in-chief might even give an order for government to do certain things. But those civil servants, my friend,
those are the
on
government.
the ground, unless you really are very serious and you really see through what you've directed to be done, it's not easy. I remember a friend of mine in government was telling me that he told, his staff that he doesn't want the 4 daily newspapers he can buy from outside. Give me an allowance, or even I don't want. Why should I buy a newspaper for 300 shillings when on the street it costs how much? 60. And they told him, this is how the government operates. It has to be done through a tender process. So there is a system that has been set up that, there is someone that benefits along the
it is protected.
way. It's protected.
You cannot disrupt it.
From the government T-boy to the CS, that mentality, that setup, it requires a serious surgery. It's not just a question. The president sometimes says pay the pending bills. How many times has the president said that?
Pay
many
bills,
times.
yeah.
Have you seen that
Since
happen?
2019.
No. So I think it's not an easy thing to do. Yet it's an easy thing to do because you need to make sure that that actually happens, that you get reports, that, the political goodwill is something that is required. But sometimes the politicians might say something in a funeral. They don't even mean it.
We've seen
They rarely
examples.
mean it.
We've seen examples of governments whereby then the executive, as the executor, then decides to make decisions to remove things like this, and it has worked. Do you think that then Kenya needs somebody who's going to come in with an iron fist and start to break down some of these things? Because it looks as though what you need is an individual with, one, the political will, but then also with the decisive might to say, I am going to now make sure. Because you can't tell me that people who sit in these positions don't know about these systems that you talk about.
I think it is. I think the nature of our politics, the structure that we have, makes it a bit difficult. It's such that in Kenya, a politician would come in, and that politician will need other politicians or another big person to back him. And if that other person is doing other things, for example, when Jubilee first came in, we all knew that this is a government that is one government. That we are told in theory, but we knew that it's not. So you had, it's always a coalition, and that makes it very difficult. So now we have gone to the handshake, for example. There are certain things that now the president has to do in order to please the other side. And that costs money. If that other person now comes in, then he or she again would need to please someone else. So, I mean, if you have, I would say benevolent dictators in other countries, and I'm not saying that's what we need, because I really believe in democracy. It can really work. Is, in Malaysia, Singapore, those countries, you say do, and it's done.
Right.
So the nature of politics, that the structure that we have, even if we had one party in Kenya that was very strong, for example, 70%, they are able to do things. They know they have the backing of, their politicians in parliament, and they can execute certain programs. But we have a country where in every election, we are 50-50. So we either have a political problem, so that then we have to spend money to solve that political problem, or we have somebody holding someone else hostage, and that person is not able to do. My side is lazima tukule, hii side ingine lazima wakule, nyinyi pia mnakula, unatoa mtu kazi, and then people say mtu wetu. So we have societal, we have an attitude problem. We need to solve these issues if we need to develop. Otherwise, I think it will be the same things. Whoever now comes into play, as a president or a prime minister, now that we are going to BBI, look at now. We have a president who is living and whose term is coming to an end, who is now bringing in a process called BBI that will, in fact, increase expenditures and give the next administration a lot of problems in terms of physical space. And this is done because of politics, nothing to do with the economy. Nothing to do with the development. And people say, it's important because we need to live in peace. How much money do we have to spend to buy peace?
And is it sustainable?
How much? And is it sustainable?
Is it a real peace?
No.
Because
So
it
tomorrow,
seems like surface level peace,
Exactly.
whereby you have
So-
people who are still not able to make a decent day's living, and then are not able to even take produce to market because roads are in a dilapidated state, for example, things like that. So is it a real peace? It seems like kind of like a covering, icing, but underneath there's no cake.
We're spending too much time on trying to, as I say, buy peace, which might be important. And that also is taking a lot of focus away from development and the things we need to do. We have we've had a handshake. Again, we might need another handshake next year. So you shake hands on this side, then you cause problems on this side. How much money are you going to say? Are you going to change the constitution again? Are you going to spend a lot of money? Are you going to say we are going to bring people together now? We need more offices, more staff. So from one handshake to the other. How many handshakes have we had since multi-party politics?
Actually,
since 92?
Since independence.
Since independence.
Ask yourself. Very many.
Many.
So when are we going to develop?
So we have two problems, by the way, as I hear it. We have one, a political system problem.
Yes.
And then we also have now a civil service that has taken advantage of that political system.
Correct.
To create its own system.
Yeah.
So you have a politician who will come into office, and because of trying to balance things politically, they will make promises, they'll try to juggle things, and then you have a civil service that tells you, umetukuta hapa.
Correct.
Utatuacha hapa.
The civil service needs supervision, Eric. And if the politicians are busy fighting each other, if you look at what happens in Parliament, who supervises the civil service? There's no time, there's no focus on that, there's no discipline.
Yeah.
Because there's so much politics. Then Parliament even then becomes bipartisan. You see a lot of guys, we've seen in Kemsa, where people say, I was walking near Kemsa, I got a contract. We are seeing all these shenanigans, and tomorrow nothing comes out of it.
Yep.
People make deals behind the scenes. So at the end of the day, as you said, yes, we have two problems. The two problems are interrelated. And one problem is because of the other problem.
I have to ask this question. The alternative to pursuing peace, in the absence of that peace that is being pursued, is it really possible to develop?
Maybe yes, but it takes focus away from the key things that we should be doing. I mean, we elected a government in 2017, but they came into office in 2018. It's now 2021. Has there been focus on development? Of course, the president has been.
Was there focus on development before?
Even before. I mean,
I'm not talking about rhetoric. Was there? Yes. Rhetoric exists even now.
Correct.
But was there focus on development? There was focus on expenditure.
Yes.
But was there focus on development?
I think maybe, first of all, they might have gotten their development plans maybe wrong. But at least in 2013 to 2014, 15, 16, something was happening. Was it something that is good,
was
that
it the
generated the right thing, the right strategy? But something was happening. So there was a semblance of a government, and we had, of course, all corruption also taking place, because when something is happening,
the opportunities,
the bigger the ticket, the development ticket, the bigger the corruption. A lot of corruption took place, but so it's either corruption taking place, wrong strategies. The next term or whenever there's a transition again, you have all this politics.
It's not corruption happening, it's being promoted, because you see, there's what happens and what the government security forces try to quell.
Yes.
But when you have one way, it seems to be promoted.
True.
Meaning it seems to be like the main agenda.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nobody will stop you.
Yes, and then behind it, it is presented as a development agenda.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
All right.
Most of the projects we have, and I've written about this, I think before, where I said that the corruption actually is budgeted. So most of the projects that we have in this country are vendor driven. There is no project where people sit down and say, okay, what does this country need? Where do we go? It's a question of...
it's conceptualized as a vehicle to
and it's being planned now, so that I can give you political support. In 2022, the government, when it comes in, people are ready with their projects. And these projects do not necessarily have to be projects that the country needs.
They are vehicles.
Yeah. Don't be surprised if somebody says, okay, we need another railway from Wajir to Nairobi.
Oh, it's coming.
Yeah. And it doesn't make sense, maybe. There's nothing that you bring from Wajir in terms of goods, in terms of services, or someone else saying, we need an airport.
There's a lot of livestock that needs to come.
Like a reason will be these projects are already
Mohammed,
planned.
Wajir, Garissa, and Mandera, and Mas, we need that livestock to come from there and not undergo the stress and strain of being on a truck
Kabisa.
to Bachuma.
Kabisa.
Okay?
Kabisa.
In Taita Taveta.
Kabisa.
Railway.
Kabisa.
It's I've already conceptualized that, my friend.
Let's remember.
Don't spoil
and you know the vendor.
Yes, the trade between those countries that border those towns will be enhanced by such a mechanism.
Correct.
So, of course, let me say where I was going with the question or the statement that I made. The issue of there being an individual, a person with a certain personality and a character is fundamental. Why do I say it's fundamental?
Sure.
If you look at the Kibaki government, and fundamentally there was a man called Kibaki.
Yes.
A lot of fun was made about the people he came in with. They said, over the hill.
Yes.
But it is clear these are people he knew, people he had worked with, and people he believed could deliver.
Correct.
And in many ways, they really delivered.
Correct. I agree. There's a lot of discipline. There is a person who is not given a lot of credit in this country, and that person is called Joseph Kinyua.
Yes.
Joseph Kinyua had what I call the Kinyua plan. Maybe I just name it as Kinyua plan,
the Kinyua plan,
but it was Kibaki from 2013. From 2003 to 2013, a 10-year plan, and they were very disciplined. And that person, Kinyua, has really, really put in a framework, an economic framework. Unfortunately, when Jubilee came into place, something happened. First of all, we went into a two-tier government.
Yes.
So 2 levels of government instead of 1. Yet we used the same Kinyua plan or economic framework to try and manage that. So nobody sat down in 2012 or when this government came into place and said, things have changed. We now have 2 levels of government, but can we use the old economic framework to deal with new way?
But the question I'll
So
ask,
you're trying to fit
so
a
Kenya did
square
not amend his own.
Yes.
And now he even became more senior. He's
Yes.
the one who's in charge of the civil service. He didn't amend his own plan.
Well, I think it depends on where you play. Mzee is now probably semi-retired. I think probably he wanted even to leave earlier than I'm assuming, but helping in a different capacity. But when you're in Treasury, when you're the PS, and that is where a lot of work is done, and you now also work closely with someone whose economic principles you agree with. So it's not only Kinyua. So there was a team, and Kibaki was right at the top of that team. Kibaki was very active in
fact,
projects, in day-to-day planning of the
that
country.
they may have been Muiraria, but the person who ran Treasury was Kibaki.
True. But you have to have the people you trust.
Yeah.
And the people, and then the whole framework changed. People then said, we want to do so many things in a very short period.
Very short time.
Maybe they meant well. I wrote about that. I said that we need to cut on some of the big projects we're doing. Economic development is a marathon. It's not a sprint. If you sprint, you're going to,
something will go wrong.
You're not going to finish the race. And that's what happened. So these guys wanted to do everything in 5 years, and then, of course, the next 5 years, something else happened. But in the first 5 years is we're going to do a railway, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. And you're a country with limited resources.
Yeah.
You can't do everything. And mega projects always have mega deals behind it. And then things...
And they're long term.
Yeah. But now we're in a position where it will take us a very, very long time to rectify and to go back to a stable position. And I think that's the problem.
3 minutes to 9 o'clock. We thank you very much for tuning into the Situation Room. This conversation happens 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. So we still have another 1 hour of this. But our audience on KTN Home will be leaving us shortly. You can tune in to Spice FM 94.4 if you're in Nairobi, Mombasa 87.9, 102.5 in Kisumu, 96.0 in Nakuru, 96.7 in Eldoret, 90.9 in Nyeri, and Malindi is 97.7.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your
1 hour
life.
is a very short time, Mohammed. And we thank you very much for joining us today.
Yeah. It's better than Zoom and...
Yes.
Much better.
I see.
Right here with
this man
CT.
is very rough. So when I see the clips from Spice FM, huyu mtu ndio ana choma kabisa. And also na huyu anaweka Eric anaweka mafuta. You guys are good. The Situation Room is good.
You
should move to also TV.
We've been on TV.
I know, but
meaning full. But you know, Mohammed, one of the things about issues, and what we try to do in this show, we actually try to make it a discussion.
Yes, I've seen that.
Not an interview.
No, I've seen that.
And also, you see, our culture doesn't actually promote or encourage what I may refer to as intrusive questions.
Yes.
But we try to make them non-obstructive.
True. Very true.
Yes.
Very true.
So
Now, I've
that's
seen
where,
that.
that's where the concept of choma now
Yes.
that you're talking about. Because how else do you ensure that our audience actually gets to understand the issues that are being discussed
No, it's true.
here?
It's very true.
Yes.
No, it's also captivating.
Yes.
I find it, Spice FM, especially the Situation Room, the discussions are very good, very topical. So I think good luck to you guys. And Mendelee mzuri.
Asante sana.
Asante sana. Thank you very much.
Enjoy your holiday in the country, my
Thank
brother.
you. Acha niende, sitaki kulala sasa.
Yes.
Now that I've woken up.
Don't forget to say goodbye before you go back. Eh?
When do you go back?
March 13.
We will see you again.
Yeah, so bado niko.
Bas, you'll be here again.
Asanteni sana bwana.
Thank you so
Asante.
much.
No, Mohammed, thank you for coming.
Asante.
Have a lovely
Thank you guys.
day.
Good luck.
Cheers.
Asante.
Keep it right here because in the next hour we'll have more conversations and we'll be having the MP for Gilgil who will be here. Let's talk about what's happening in the country, BBI. So all these counties have said yes. What does that mean? Is this a poisoned chalice? This is Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room. Good morning. It's now 9 a.m.
Spice up your life. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, let's look at what it looks like on the roads now. Mombasa Road, not too bad outbound. No, it's looking pretty good, I think. We won't have too much inbound. Going towards the Nyeri Stadium roundabout, headed into the city is where you might stop right at the roundabout, but then onto Hulu Highway, into the CBD, out towards Westlands, where we might have some issues. Coming off Langata Road, not too bad now. That situation has been sorted out. Coming to the Timor roundabout, and then out towards Bagathi Way or towards the Nyeri Stadium, that's all right. Where we still do have some problems is Thika Road, still in the middle of traffic hour for that side of the city. Hopefully it will open up in a while, so some patience still needed there. Apart from that, nothing major. Let us know if it does get to that state. Spice FMKE on Twitter. Text 40127.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latif, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room.
2 minutes
The
after 9. Good morning and thank you very much for keeping it right here. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, the fourth hour of the show, 9:02. Okay, so the show ends at 10. Let's begin the hour with the day's proverb. CT.
You must attend to your business at the market and not the noise of the market.
You must attend to the business.
Your business, not the business, your business. When you go to the market, there's a reason you've gone there. Attend to it. Don't focus on the noise.
I don't know who is fighting who.
Who is selling
there's
what?
a mad person who.
And the mad one might be around.
You've gone to buy tomatoes.
Yeah.
Okay? You know very well that's why you left your house to go and buy tomatoes. Then you find someone is selling Panadols at a quarter of the price that you'd get in the farm. That's not what took you to the market.
You can also do window shopping. But
It's free.
and then you're told kujaribu ni bure customer, Now what is wrong with that city?
And you're even told hata kuona ni bure.
Kuona ni bure.
And the next thing you know it.
You've bought it.
they're selling you a dog.
You have-
And you've gone home with a wheelbarrow.
Yes, and you went to buy tomatoes.
Yes.
Yes.
And they found a very cheap wheelbarrow. And you remembered last week when you needed a wheelbarrow.
You didn't have one.
Find one at this price.
Yes.
And you forget that you only
And the
use a
next time
wheelbarrow
you
twice
need
in a
a
year.
wheelbarrow next year, at least you'll have it.
I think if there's some equipment that has gotten very good coverage, is the wheelbarrow. We have actually brought it back to the map.
Yes, they have. Yes, they have. And then you suddenly find that your neighbors suddenly have use for wheelbarrows and they come to borrow yours.
Yes. Martha Wangari, the
Thank
MP for Gilgil. Good morning.
Good morning, Eric. And happy to be in Spice FM, the famous studio. I now can put the faces to the names.
Very good.
And I want to actually say you're one of the best morning shows that are in our radio waves, considering what other stations air. It's usually a breath of fresh air to listen to you every morning. So I'm happy to be here. It's my inaugural. I've never been, so it's my first time.
Karibu sana.
Asante.
And we're
It will not
delighted
be
to
your
have you.
last.
Yeah, it won't be my last. So please, let me say hi to my people. You know it is a crime.
No, please.
If I don't do
no,
that.
No, by all
do a
means.
shout
By
out.
all means.
Send salams.
By all means.
First of all, to my people from Gilgil, from every corner. I know they listen a lot to Spice FM. And I also want to give condolences to Juja people for the loss of their MP. And of course, this parliament has been very hit by many deaths. I think this is the sixth one, dying in office. And I think it brings a whole new conversation about how we are treating our health issues, especially this one for Honorable Akape, because it was cancer related.
Yeah, I see that's a conversation that you was happening in Parliament yesterday.
Yes, we were eulogizing him.
Eulogizing the man and saying, look, we need to mainstream this issue of cancer.
Yeah.
This is not the first time the
Nope.
National Assembly is doing this. This is not the first time that it's saying this, but...
I agree with you because we have actually a bill pending in Parliament for cancer. First of all, it was a motion to actually be declared a national disaster. By doing that, it can be just a semantics issue to say national disaster. But when you do that and declare it a national disaster, what it means is that it's given attention that it deserves. But I think our problem, Eric, is not even the laws in this country. I've said that in KTN, I've said it elsewhere. And I said it yesterday as we eulogized Waitito. Because I say, we have the laws. 1989 Abuja Declaration, not less than 15% of any budget to go to health. And I said it yesterday. If we can implement that, just that, for the county governors, we would be very far.
So why can't we?
I would say, I'm not a governor, but I would not speak for any governor. But I don't think there is any county government that has been able to do that. And I don't think we'll be able to criminalize it. I would say it's about goodwill. If you're sitting governor, prioritize it. And I think that's all it takes. And for the county assemblies to also prioritize it, because health has basically been devolved. And even now, as we speak of more resources, we are taking more resources to the counties, and yet the oversight is not clear. So some of the issues that have lacunas.
Yeah, so those two issues actually. So there's a declaration that says, every country shall increase its budgetary allocation to health. Another similar declaration, every country shall increase its budgetary allocation to agriculture. Those have been devolved.
Yes.
So now we are passing the back to the counties and saying, why aren't counties implementing this?
Because they are the ones supposed to do that. Because if you go to Nakuru, where I come from, I would tell you, give it credit to where it's due. Because if you walked to PGH 5 years ago, even to deliver a child, it was crazy. It was messy. And it was not clean. There was no attendance.
PGH, not all our listeners know what PGH is.
Provincial General Hospital. It is used not only by Nakuru, it's used by Eldoret, by Kericho, by the neighborhood of the county. And I'll tell you, it has improved to a point. Right now, you'll walk into PGH and get a CS done. You'll walk into Gilgil Health Center, where I come from, and get a theater to carry out our CS. It never used to happen. So we have made steps. We have diagnostic center in Nakuru. We have Mamangina maternity wing. So different counties have handled it differently. But I would laud my governor for the far he has done, because it was messy. Right now, if you go to PG, it's like a private hospital. You walk in, it's clean, the stench is not there, you're attended to, and you'll not hear the cases of negligence like we used to hear previously. So some have made progress. I can't speak for other counties, but I would say, like in my place, we used to go to Naivasha to get a child delivered through CS. If you're going there and it's a case of emergency, people die on the way.
Yeah.
Right now, we are having a CS being done in Gilgil. There's a theater for that. So I think there are people who have made strides. And I know Jerusalem was not built in a day, but it is possible. And I say that knowing very well of the resources we take to the counties. It is doable. All it needs is commitment and goodwill of the government.
Are you saying that the resources that the counties get are adequate for the demands of the tasks that have been put before them in health matters?
I wouldn't say adequate. You know why? PFM Act gives a 30% to go to development, minimum. If you look at the COB, the Control of Budget report, not any county is doing 30%. We are not still doing that. And I say that like Nakuru, over 80% goes to recurrent, which is a crisis. If you go to Nyeri, the former provincial headquarters, it goes to recurrent. Until we're able to sort that out, you cannot say there are enough resources.
Are you saying that it is absolutely necessary to spend that amount on recurrent?
I want to be honest because, when you talk about laying off people right now, it's a hot potato.
From a political
I would not.
perspective, of
It's a political issue, and it's also a livelihood issues because we are dealing with unemployment. Then the ones who are there, you want to lay them out, to lay them off. And I say that because I was in the Senate last Parliament. Transitional Authority tried to actually recommend. You remember what happened? Rationalization. That's what they called it. But basically, it was laying off and retiring those who want to retire. It's not an easy thing to do, and I would say that from a political view, because in any case, a governor is a politician. But it needs someone who is brave enough to do it.
But at the same time, governors came in, especially when they were coming in for the first time in 2013.
Yeah.
And the one thing that they wanted to do is reward their political people by hiring more people.
By the way, Eric, that is not a Kenyan problem. And I think even recently with the transition you saw in the US, which is a much older democracy, that's the first thing you do. Because you also need people who can work with you. But you have to do it within the law. Yeah,
that's okay. You see, there's coming in with your advisors and coming in with your CECs.
Yes.
But I was also now saying that we are going to hire more people in various cadres.
By the way, if I remember, so many of them were thrown out, even from the Senate level, because it was a petition. And it was rationalized by law. So it was said you can hire an ward admin, you can hire a CEC. The offices are actually very lean today because a governor will have an advisor, maybe two, and then have a county attorney. So that you're able to rationalize. Because if you leave it open, then everyone will come with their person trying to, get a position in the county.
But, even as you say this, I am thinking, what sort of public participation have the counties and the constituencies done to get people to understand that laying off is not an insult. It's not a negative thing. It's not picking on you. It isn't, because you're fighting a narrative that has been there for the longest time.
Yeah.
It's like these jobs have to come to an end at some point, for heaven's sake.
Yep.
Okay? But we have helped maintain the narrative that when you're laid off, something bad has happened.
Oh, yes.
Someone doesn't like you. Someone doesn't want you.
You are now jobless.
Yes.
But is that not true? When you're laid off,
No.
It's not a good feeling.
No.
It's not. Feeling? And I would not lie to you. I'll not tell you there is public participation that will support laying off of people. It will never happen. In fact, it will just need someone to be hard enough and just face it. But in terms of public participation, they will deny. They will not want it.
I'm going somewhere with this. Thought as to what you do after retirement.
Yeah.
There is that discussion. When it's left hanging, it's like you had this job, then we're now sending you to oblivion. Okay?
Yeah.
And no one will accept it. Say, oblivion to do what exactly?
Recently we had, I sit in the defense committee, we vet ambassadors. And one of the issues that we had was the president appointing people who are over 60 years old.
Yep.
And the question was, you've retired. I mean, go home. For heaven's sake, go home. And even themselves, they said, we are still useful. Where do you want us to go?
Home.
Oh, they don't want to. So I think it's a culture issue. And there's no public participation done in any constituency or county that will support it. In fact, they want more. Because they say at least we have a stake in this government because we have 2-3 people from our village employed by the county. By the way, regardless of what they are doing in the county, that is the sad bit.
Yeah.
So it does not even need a law. It just needs someone to be courageous enough
bold.
And do it. And I don't see it happening unless governors are appointed. It won't work because it's a political decision.
And if you want votes, then you must follow the
Oh,
will of
yes.
the people.
Yeah.
Let's talk about CDF here in line with the BBI. So
Yeah.
first of all, there's all this talk, and we were discussing this earlier. It appears that now we're heading towards a referendum, number one.
For sure.
This is clear. You guys in the National Assembly will do what the county assemblies have done.
Actually, whatever we do, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't
It
matter.
will still go
even.
to a referendum.
It's going to a referendum. And at the referendum now, during the campaigns for referendum, what is emerging as the new communication for the referendum is about the money.
Yeah.
The money part. How much money is coming to kwa mfuko ya mwananchi wa kawaida. This whole story of we've been fighting.
Shilingi.
It's how much money is coming to the mwananchi.
Yeah.
Now we've heard the president saying, CDF bursary. So the bursary component of CDF is now going to increase, especially for those who are in populated constituencies.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, we've been told now there's going to be a ward development fund. That
Yes.
means that every MCA will have around 300 million shillings to,
Play around.
come
Just
and play
an
around
MCA.
with. MCA.
So if an MCA is getting 300 million, think of what a Mheshimiwa MP will have.
First of all, I don't know where 300 million has come from, just to be sure, because BBI speaks about 5% of the revenue, and that is where the catch is.
It is of the revenue, own source revenue.
Of the county. The revenue. The revenue. But generally, let me comment on BBI. First of all, and I have said it on KTN today, I think the opponents of BBI kind of, what we call in Kikuyu land, jumped before the drum. Yeah, before the tune. And I say that because it's a process that is enumerated in the constitution. And they were almost certain that the counties won't pass it. So yesterday was a shocker for everybody because the counties actually passed it overwhelmingly. In fact, it does not matter what any other county does now. It's, the numbers are good. It's like stop the count.
Yeah.
But the reason you say it's a poison chalice, and what I've seen people say, the MCAs were bribed. Of course, there were incentives. It's a political process. You will dangle what you have, and that's what the president did.
So what bribe?
Not bribe. And I say that because as a member of parliament who benefited from a car grant myself, I cannot oppose it for MCAs. I spoke about it in 2016 in the legislative summit. I was a senator then, and it was passed. So it was only that it was difficult to implement for one reason or another. And what has happened is that maybe it's just the right time to redeem the bonga points, I would say, for the MCA. It's the right time, basically. But what happened yesterday, in fact, the president and the proponents of BBI know that the most important person in this process was the MCA. Forget the MP and the senator. CC will be a conduit or whatever it will be. But the MCA, if it did not garner 24 counties, then it dies. So they had to invest whatever it takes. And that's why you see there's something everyone is supporting in BBI. You see the MCA will be excited about the World Development Fund. Why? Because this thing of elitists and saying legislation and representation is in Nairobi. So to tell you, what matters in the village where I come from is, has this road been fixed? Has an MCA built a dispensary? Has this bridge been fixed? Those are the tangibles that an MCA brings. And so when that power has been given to the governor solely, then the MCA is left to beg. So that was some incentive already in BBI for the MCAs to pass. Forget the car grant. The second one is the fact that CECs can come from the county assembly. What does that mean? It means there's a mix of having government inside the assembly. And I say that because even in parliament today, initially you would have a cabinet minister in parliament. You'll ask them questions. Yesterday I raised a question from my constituency on demolitions. That question may take 3 months before it's answered. Because first of all, these technical guys, they don't understand. We want to get answers because we are being pressurized from the ground and from the constituency. So that thing is very clear for MCAs, and it is explicit, not like it is for MPs. In fact, the section for ministers coming from county assembly says not more than half. So already 50% will come inside.
That
From
is
inside.
5
Yes.
out
From
of 10.
inside, yes. Already. For parliament, it's, for me, I don't agree with the language, the
What
way
does
it's
it say?
worded, because it says may. The ministers may be appointed from inside parliament.
Open-ended.
Someone can give you one minister and give 20 outside. because he was 21. So it's a prerogative of the person appointing. And we had raised it in the language because at the end of the day, it's an issue of text. And the challenge of this bill is that you're not able to amend it. By the way, you either pass it or reject it. And that's why now we are looking at, is it more good you're on a scale? Is it more good? You choose. Is it more good? Where is your scale going? That, you decide, is it more good than bad? Then you will support it. Personally, I'll support it for a different few issues. I don't agree with that text.
We'll talk about the issues after this quick break.
Okay, sorry.
Take a look at weather. We are having in the studio Martha Wangari. She is the MP for Gilgil. She is yes for the BBI.
Yes.
And we want to understand why she's yes for BBI. Well, the other Martha is no for BBI.
Actually, we share both
strongly.
names.
So, Martha Wangari Karua
Coincidence.
and Martha Wangari of Gilgil.
Yes.
18 minutes after 9. Keep it right here. This conversation continues.
Japan biotechnology. Yes! Hey, Samuel, are you into business now? What are you importing from Japan? Knowledge! I'm going to study biotechnology in the best university in Japan. I applied and ta-da! Japan? Yes! You will have to first learn Japanese. No, my friend. They have more than 850 courses that are provided in English and very affordable. Hey, how do I apply? Kuja Osome Japan. Study in Japan Global Network Project brings you an opportunity to study in Japan. Log on to www.studyinjapan-africa.com and apply to study in Japan with over 100 universities providing cutting-edge science and technology courses including the field of robotics, artificial intelligence, AI, environmental studies, information technology, and many more. Not only postgraduate but undergraduate level is also covered. Mention our course, you will not fail to get it. Visit our website today on www.studyinjapan-africa.com.
The weather with Spice FM.
It's sunny in Nairobi at 20, highs of 26 and lows of 15. Sunny also in Nyeri, 17, and sunny conditions, highs of 25. Nakuru is mostly sunny as well at 18, highs of 25. Sunny conditions, it seems it's sunny all through the country. In Eldoret, 23 the high. In Kisumu, 29 the high. Mostly sunny conditions in Kakamega as well, 29 the high, coming down to lows of 15. Where it is raining is Mombasa, light rain at 28, highs of 31 and lows of 25. It's also raining in Malindi at 28, 31 the high and lows of 26. We're looking at mostly sunny conditions in Kampala, highs of 27 and lows of 18, 31 the high in Dar es Salaam, and light rain still. Sunny conditions now in Joburg, going to highs of 20 today. Hazy in Lagos now, inviting some rain later, highs of 34 and lows of 26. 32 will be the high in Kinshasa, where it's partly sunny at 25 at the moment. The weather is, temperatures dipping in Beijing, 4 degrees now, highs of 5 and lows of -3. Clear skies in Paris at 9, going to highs of 20 and lows of 8. Partly cloudy conditions in London at 12 degrees, highs of 15 and lows of 9. And finally, in New York coming into Wednesday morning. It is Wednesday, right? 6 degrees and clear, highs of 11 and lows of 3.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
21 after 9. This is Kenya's Biggest Conversation. Eric Latif, Ndu, of course, CT Muga, and our guest this hour is Honorable Martha
Yep.
It's Wednesday.
Martha Wangari.
These things happen. Yes, but
just on the beat, just take us like that.
The MP for Lig.
Gil.
We're talking about the BBI and the referendum process and where we're heading. Just before you tell us why you are yes for BBI, there's this other possibility that yes, county assemblies are going to pass this thing. 98% will say yes, but the people have the final say at the referendum.
Agree.
Is there a likelihood, do you see, of the people saying you don't represent us? We actually are going to say no.
By the way, this process, people must understand. Now, when it comes to the communication to Parliament, first of all, it can be debated concurrently to the two houses. But regardless of what we decide as a house, which I don't see having a lot of issues, Article 255 has talked about the issues that go to a referendum, whether or not. So the issue of Bill of Rights, which has been touched by BBI, the issue of judiciary, the appointment of the ombudsman, all those will go to a referendum. So we are looking at a referendum right now. A referendum can go either way, by the way. But the reason this one may not have proper opposition is because no one is leading the no team. It could have a chance of going no, but I can tell you for free. These people, our people listen to their political leaders. That's why you hear, ametusomea, we don't need to read. Because people are busy in their things. In fact, right when I was coming, I came in a taxi. And the guy who drove me in an Uber was telling me, he didn't know even who I was. And was telling me, tuko na shida. Tumesomewa na hii kitu, wamepitisha wao, they are discussing amongst themselves and they have passed. But I told him, but they're your representatives. You driving this Uber, when will you have time to sit down and read BBI? So there is some degree where members of parliament, members of county assemblies will represent their people. And that's one of our duties. So going forward, the reason it may not have opposition, if you remember 2005, the banana orange referendum.
Yep.
We actually demonized innocent fruit that time. But, you know, there was a proper structured no campaign.
Yep.
Right now, the Linda Katiba, which Honorable Martha Karua is part of, Kipvudha was there. Now he's not. You know, he's in, and the next day he's not. He said, my people have told me I have to support it.
Yep.
So, if one of these people, and I would single out the deputy president, if he were to lead a no campaign, then you would say you have a serious opposition or someone a high political figure to lead the no campaign, which I don't see happening. Which I don't see happening.
Even
so
in
what will happen?
The no team had a leader.
They had a leader.
Why don't you see it happening? Because what we in the media have helped present to the public is that an opposition leader has been made in the form of our deputy president.
And I'm asking, someone draw a clip where he actually expressly tells people to vote no for BBI.
He has actually said he has no problem with BBI.
Oh, yeah, he has. Because, first of all, the issues he raised in Bomas, too, if you remember, in Bomas, were most of them incorporated. The issue of Ombudsman had an issue. Yeah. The issue of Nairobi County as a county had an issue. In fact, the first draft, it had recommended that it be taken to the executive again. It was removed. So many issues have been ironed. And that's why I'm saying it's been a process. Even those of us who gave views, and I would say because I went to a meeting called by the president in Naivasha, Great Rift, I was there. We raised issues because like these 70 constituencies that are now here, that time there were just seats floating in the air. And they would say, Gilgil will have 2 MPs. So we were like, who will be starting where? That is where the issue of delimitation of boundaries came in, that let us demarcate it properly so that there is no overlap and there is accountability. So these issues, the reason why it will not go to no mostly, what will have maybe is apathy. People need to be motivated to come out and vote. But in terms of the process, first of all, a referendum is assured, as it is right now, regardless of what Bunge does. But in terms of the campaigns, I am sure if what I've seen from the deputy president, I don't think he has an issue enough to go to a no campaign.
Martha Karua, don't you think she's strong enough to lead a no campaign?
She is actually. She is. I don't doubt her capacity. But the fact that maybe she's not in a political position right now also has an implication.
What will she
by
be
all
fighting?
means, because the people also respect positions.
What will she be fighting against? For instance, since we're speaking hypothetically here,
Yeah.
what will she be fighting against if she leads a no campaign?
I do not speak for her, but what I've read from the newspapers, I've seen her say it will be a costly affair to say even 35% can go to the counties. And he says the next administration will have a problem raising that money. And I think he has she raises a valid point. But my point is, you know, functions follow, money should follow functions. We devolved health, and yet we are still retaining a lot of money in the Ministry of Health. That's why you'll hear the COVID-19 haste, they're in Nairobi. And you cannot say we criminalize county governments, which is the closest government people have gotten since independence. Because some governors did something in corruption. We have a lot of corruption going on, even in the national level. So in terms of getting the money, the problem is not even the money. It is proper utilization and proper accountability. If we just used this money properly, it is enough to go around.
Let me just play her a clip. She was on KTN last night and she was asked, so
Today,
what are your
morning.
issues?
Oh, Martha Karua.
Yes.
Oh, not me.
Yeah. What are your issues, Martha Karua, against the BBI? And what do you think about the vote that has now taken place in the county assemblies? And this is what she said.
There's been bribery and coaction. That's what I've said. If the sweeteners were so good, why did the MCAs have to be promised the 2 million in order to pass BBI? And it was quid pro quo. That's what the president promised at Sagana, so as to convince the Mount Kenya and ultimately the MCAs. And I would like to repeat, the MCAs are obviously impressed because of the gift they have received, because of the coercion, because of the intimidation. That doesn't mean the people in the counties are impressed. Other than Makueni, I'm hearing Professor Governor Kibwana say there was some semblance of public participation. Almost all the other counties, there was nil public participation, not even pretense. So it is the MCAs of Kirinyaga who are impressed, not the people of Kirinyaga. But before the referendum comes, we shall have to be heard as the people who object to the referendum, and we hope to break it down to the people, to show them that BBI really is a fraud. It is not telling the truth. If 35% was to go to the counties, it would have been budgeted in the 2021-2022 budget, because when they started the process last year, the referendum bill had already been published. What better way of showing goodwill and showing commitment than...
So,
yeah, I
show
hear
that
her.
goodwill now.
By
we
the
have
way,
a budget coming up.
She's right on one thing. Democracy dictates that the majority have their way, the minority have their say. So even the dissenting voices should be heard. In fact, even her, she should be heard, as she rightly puts it. And I think in terms of commitment, first of all, this is not law yet. Of course, nothing prevents any government from doing it. But it is not right to just leave it as a prerogative of the serving president. And I think for me, why it's attractive, that is the reason. Because even as it is today, we have actually put it as a minimum, as a low ceiling. We said at least 15%. So it means as a president or executive, I choose what I can send, you know. But when it is in law, and that is why it's good to embed these things, it is you can be able to follow up better when it is in law. And I agree in devolving money after the functions. The Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Devolution, the Ministry of Health must have a very lean, just policy to address. Take these monies to the counties, and it is going to have an effect. And that revenue we're talking about, every ward, every 55 wards in every one of the 55 wards in Nakuru will be assured of, say, 20 or 30 million per year. What that means, it means the roads you want to address, the dispensaries you want to equip, you'll have a direct amount dedicated like the way we have CDF. And the next step, I want to say, BBI is not the end of it. Most of these laws will be enacted by Parliament to operationalize even this when it goes through. Some within 6 months, some within 1 year, according to the schedule in the BBI. And the moment it becomes law, Parliament sets rolling. And I think the laws are already being drafted so that it won't waste a lot of time. We'll be doing our duty as the people's representative. The issue of representation, Eric, I represent 90,000 voters. I have 110 public schools. I have one colleague of mine in this Nairobi who has 9 schools or 10 schools. What that means, they have put desks, they have put infrastructure.
And a population of how many for those 10 schools?
Yeah, they're high. I don't deny. But in terms of infrastructure, you pump so much money in one school. That's why you're able to do storage. We are not able to do that. We are dealing with basic infrastructure. We are grossly underrepresented in terms of our numbers. And I put that because between Gilgil and Naivasha, which was our mother constituency, has 145,000, Naivasha. I have 90,000. Between us, we already have 230 voters. And I'm not talking population. Gilgil has, the last census has 185,000 people. There's Lamu County has what? In terms of numbers, almost like the whole county is the size of my constituency. And the same funding goes to Lamu constituency, Lamu West and Lamu East. So the gross misrepresentation is a serious issue. I would not mind that between Naivasha and Gilgil, we get another constituency. So that's one reason I'm supporting it, because Nakuru gets 5 extra constituencies. And our numbers deserve to be heard in Parliament, and not just in CDF. We cannot reduce this in CDF. We also consider the vote in Parliament of representation. That I have 1 vote, someone with 20,000 also has 1 vote. Someone with 160 like Roiro has 1 vote. Whereas they should have 3 votes in critical matters, including budget.
Especially taxation.
Yes.
I think you'll need to explain that to us very well and slowly so that we get to understand. Before we go into the CDF, where it's just basically direct money coming to our constituency, that issue of representation. At what cost should we have a representation? I mean, so I am one person. I'm represented alongside 3 others by 1 MP, and we have another person there represented alongside 10 others by 1 MP. Who is more represented than the other, and why? And what's the cost of doing that? Let's have that conversation after this quick break. 27 minutes to 10 o'clock. We have in the studio Martha Wangari. She is the MP for Gilgil constituency. We're talking about BBI, the yes, and why she is yes for BBI. Keep it right here.
Sugar and spice and everything nice, just the way you like it.
The Spice Drive.
Did you have a great day? I hope you did. I intend to make it better from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. I'm going to be taking you home nice and chill. Everyone is welcome aboard. The hashtag is Spice Drive, and of course, Spice FMKE on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
The Spice Drive with Monique. The official soundtrack of getting you where you need to be.
Japan, biotechnology, yes! Hey, Samuel, are you into business now? What are you importing from Japan? Knowledge! I'm going to study biotechnology in the best university in Japan. I applied and ta-da! Japan? Yes! You will have to first learn Japanese. No, my friend. They have more than 850 courses that are provided in English and very affordable. Hey, how do I apply? Kuja Osome Japan. Study in Japan Global Network Project brings you an opportunity to study in Japan. Log on to www.studyinjapan-africa.com and apply to study in Japan with over 100 universities providing cutting-edge science and technology courses including the field of robotics, artificial intelligence, AI, environmental studies, information technology, and many more. Not only postgraduate but undergraduate level is also covered. Mention our course, you will not fail to get it. Visit our website today on www.studyinjapan-africa.com.
Sugar, spice, and everything nice. Alright,
Spice up your life.
So I think traffic situation is looking a lot better. Coming out of traffic hour officially. Thika Road is looking a little better now, getting into the city. Kiambu Road special, very, very special today. Opening up now towards Thika Road, and so it's going to take some time to get rid of that traffic there. So if you're headed in that direction, it's going to take some time, okay? Mountain Mall, wrong side. People are going on the wrong side of the road because there's no way out in the other direction. Remember, if you're headed towards Kangemi, that flyover is being taken down. It's already been sealed off, so it's going to cause some traffic, still causing some this morning. So those are the 2 spots to look out for today. Other than that, I think it's looking pretty good. Talk to us through the day should you need to. Spice FMKE on Twitter. Send the alarm if it happens. Keep it moving throughout the day. Spice FMKE on Twitter or text on 40127.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
24 minutes to 10 o'clock. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. It's the Situation Room. We're having a conversation with the Gilgil MP, Martha Wangari, on why she supports the BBI amendments. And you're telling us about representation.
Yes.
So first of all, the way it's set up right now with the BBI is that Nakuru County is set to get how many extra? 5 extra constituencies, and you're hoping that at least between yourselves and
Of course,
Naivasha, you're going to
yes.
have another constituency created
Because
there.
I can tell you, Eric, even in terms of coverage, first of all, I have 1,348 square kilometers to cover. Forget now the population. From Delamere, where you get to Delamere, all the way to the dual carriage in Nakuru is Gilgil, both sides. So in terms of of course we do. And Naivasha has 8 wards. I have 5 wards. So between us, we should be able to get a constituency. And that will be lobbying very hard when that time comes. And also through public participation. And I say that because initially, Gilgil was in Naivasha. The development and all the MPs used to come from Naivasha because of the population. Gilgil was kind of left out. So in terms of development, we are now in our second term, even in parliament. There was one MP and then myself. We are doing basic things that should have been done before. Roads and toilets and classrooms, for schools. We are dealing with basic infrastructure. If that had happened earlier, I can tell you we would at least be at par with many of the constituencies that you're talking about.
Are you dealing with this basic because they're not enough, according to you, not enough in terms of representation, or then in terms of how much priority was given to these development issues?
I think representation and development is actually intertwined. You know why? Because even in parliament, there comes an issue that touches Nakuru. Even if we vote, we are just 11. So we'll only have 11 votes. But our numbers, we are over 2 million in terms of population. You cannot equate us with, say, Lamu or Isiolo, which is tiny and has as many...
In terms of population?
Yes, in terms of population. And they have, I would say Garissa has 6 MPs. And in terms of population, one maybe has 30,000, 40,000.
How many square
it's not
kilometers
fair
for those 40,000?
I don't know the square kilometers,
But
but the people is the main issue. In fact, I have a ward bigger than a constituency somewhere in Murang'a. In terms of size, I cannot legislate on size. Let us talk population, because we don't represent the land. We represent the people.
But you're the one who's brought in the land issue.
No, I was just giving you. And that's why even the county, when you're dividing the money, it counts. The mass and the development index, the poverty index, all those parameters are considered. But on this one, in representation, our problem is the population. By the way, big time. And I have demonstrated it in Kiambu, in Kakamega, in Nakuru. The numbers are high and we get small voice in the National Assembly where decisions are made in terms of budget. And now to add on to CDF and resources coming to a constituency.
Mashima, let's look at this in totality now. Let's look at the numbers, right? Currently, it's kind of difficult to even meet the requirements today for government, for representation in the House. So now we are looking at increasing these numbers by at least 70, right? Just in the National Assembly, at least in National Assembly. One of the issues that opponents of the BBI have talked about is that we're going to be able to afford this. Nitty gritty, can you afford to buy more for your house? And the issue is that there's no money.
Actually,
there is no additional revenue that's coming in.
Actually, it's gone
currently
down.
It's even gone down
with COVID.
So you have a coat that you're trying to wrap around the front as it is. Then now you want to add more body.
But I want to tell you,
how are you going to make this happen?
I want to say, Parliament is demonized mostly because we are the ones in the public eye. But the devil of spending in government is not in Parliament. It is in the civil service. In fact, more than 58% of our budget goes to the civil service. Parliament gets less than 3%. I think it's actually 1.5%. So in terms of being demonized for the numbers, Parliament gets the brunt. But the devil is in the civil service. And that is at the national level and at the county level. But these numbers...
to you as Parliament is not in any of that. You appear like you're part of the executive. That's how we see
That's a different issue now, actually, of separation of powers. And I agree with you, especially this Parliament.
Yes.
I was in last Parliament. We are an arm of government. It's supposed to be independent.
Yes.
But
your oversight
we have fought.
In
fact, this Parliament, I was in 11th Parliament. It was not as this one. I would agree with you in terms of capture. I would agree with you totally, because even some of the decisions we make, some are, you'll get called, people will get called and they're overruled. We had issues with the Finance Act, if you remember, in 2018, and I vehemently opposed it, but it was actually, I would say, forced through and became an act, but we opposed it on record. So I think this separation is what has killed our our role as parliament, but it's not, we cannot throw out the baby with the bathwater. Because we cannot say now we are desperate, now that's it. Because we still have to do our work. And that's why even now we are dealing with a budget, supplementary budget. There are some who will cut, there are some who will say it's not workable because we are still having the power to oversight.
But you see,
executive.
Mheshimiwa, the optics that a layman like myself
Yeah.
sees is that you will approve the increase of that lending ceiling
Yeah.
or the borrowing ceiling.
Yeah.
But even if we seem to have money to finance this thing, we've borrowed it.
Yeah.
Where is the commensurate economic activity that will enable us to actually absorb the debt that we will then have increased?
By the way, debt, I wouldn't say debt is bad, Muga. Even you, I know you have a debt somewhere you're servicing.
No, it's not one.
Yeah.
Several.
Yeah. I think all of us, even myself, I have a debt somewhere. And I think the issue is never about borrowing. Because every country in this world, by the way, most of them borrow.
I don't have a problem
the
with
issue
that.
is the amount. But what are we seeing? Infrastructure. Are we not seeing it? I've just used Mombasa Road. Are we not seeing the infrastructure going on? No, serious.
In terms of where it's being funded from, and then
for sure
where it's going.
Because when I talk about development in my constituency, I know we want to demonize government generally, but I would say, like when I came into my constituency, I would say even electricity connection was below 50%.
Yep.
Now we have gotten electricity
Gilgil was
to people
ignored.
70%. You know, I'm just saying that takes money. It's not free. I have a tarmac road. I think almost every constituency has a tarmac road going on. It is still money.
Yeah.
We are talking of this expressway. It's still money. We are talking of railway. It's still money.
Yeah.
And I think as a responsible government, you have to find ways of funding the infrastructure. But one point I would agree with you. It will have to come to a point where we live within our means. And I say that from the budgeting point. Let us have a smaller budget that is manageable. It's not wrong to have a 1 trillion or 2 trillion budget than to have a 3 trillion that will cause extraneous stress to our population.
You see why I'm pointing
that
fingers?
That one I agree.
Why I'm pointing fingers at Parliament is this. If the role of oversight was actually done, you'd be absolutely right. This issue of borrowing wouldn't matter. We've raised it here ourselves and we are the view. This borrowing,
not the problem.
We don't have
it
a
is
problem.
not the issue.
No. It's not the issue.
Yeah.
That absence of oversight is what would guarantee we don't waste this money that we borrow.
True.
Okay? If we didn't waste it, it would be put into activities that would generate more money. So we would be fine. The problem is we are not fine.
Because of the lack of oversight.
Yes.
Because
it's
what I'm trying to understand you.
Because of how. This is it. So, and then Mohammed Ulia was here with us from 8 o'clock to 9.
Yeah.
And this conversation, we've had it before. So from the point of budgeting, there's somebody who is already thinking about how much money they're going to make in the next financial year.
I agree.
And there's somebody who already has identified a vendor of a project that they're going to run. So the borrowing that you're doing, you're borrowing 10 shillings for a project that you should be borrowing 3 bob. You're going to pay 10 bob for a 3 bob project. That is problem number 1.
Yes.
Problem number 2, in some cases, you're borrowing 10 bob for a 0 bob project.
Yes.
And we have seen them. We have seen projects that have been started. They have not
stalled.
been completed at all. And yet we have borrowed. So those are the issues, and that's where the oversight role comes in.
I am in agreement, totally.
And we also agree with you when you say that we need to get to a point where we live within our means.
Yep.
And maybe that's where the people are coming in and saying, living within our means also means that we do not increase the size of our government. Live within our means.
Because as it is, it's already causing pressure on the knees of the economy.
No, I hear you totally. And I agree with the issue of the borrowing for bigger. And I'll give you an illustration. Yesterday, we met the Ministry of Defense, and there was a refurbishment of a ship for Air Force. Oh, no. Kenya Navy, for the Navy. And it had been budgeted for somewhere else to cost, I think, 8 billion or something. To cost something...
To refurbish it.
They were buying a new one.
Crazy. To cost something crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the military repaired it using, I think, 50 million. I think we were in shock because they said we just did repairs and we painted. And the same thing that is happening to Nairobi. You know, we had stalled tracks that were budgeted to take a lot of money, and yet they were easily done by the military using very small resources. So my point, I agree with you. There are people who see this budget as a cash cow. And that's why I say the problem of this country is not the laws. It is not the laws, because we have criminalized the issue of stealing from the public. We have said we are fighting corruption. The president has even tabled, but in terms of actionables, what happens? Because we have picked it. Even this KEMSA thing came to Parliament. It was picked in Parliament. Some of these things have been whistleblowed by Parliament, but we are not the arresting authority. We are not. It will go to EACC, go to DCI, and that is where we lose it. Because now you're not able to tell DCI we want this report. And when it comes, and it doesn't come with the resource, like now, there are people who are tabled, I think in 2018 by the president or 2019. They have now been let off the hook. Investigations have gone on. People even forgot about it.
Insufficient evidence.
And it became
cases
insufficient. And I know
collapsed.
I've seen a clause in the BBI on the timeliness manner of dealing with corruption cases. In fact, I think personally that judiciary should have the same way we fast track criminal issues. We make this a serious issue to be fast tracked. So that we see, when you see someone being jailed, a governor or two or someone who stole, then people will fear. Because our problem is not the money. It's not the borrowing, it's the stealing. And it is all over. I would not say national government only, even in the county
But
government.
you see where oversight comes in, huh? If I'm still on oversight,
Yes.
and I'm not. This is a dog with a bone. I'm not moving from it.
I see you.
You see me. Excellent. You see, why we bring in the issue of oversight is, if you don't provide it, who will?
True.
You, as Parliament, are the one arm of our system that actually has the mandate and the power to not just call out, but to even put you actually do have the power. You have the means.
I agree.
The law allows you to do that. But you
Let me tell you. And you know me, I'm honest. I'll tell you, the NYS scandal. And that's where the problem comes in. Because even when the names were listed, some were members of Parliament. And I'll tell you, I agree Parliament has failed this country. And I will say it again. We have not done what we should have done. Because you get the interferences are inside Parliament. Some were named who are sitting members, who are chairmen of committees. So it means even that report going anywhere in that Parliament is being fought from inside. And that is exactly where we go wrong. And if we were able to capture, like I was saying, and prosecute, and there are serious consequences for corruption, even members of Parliament will fear, governors will fear, and someone will be seeing public shilling and runs away. But as long as it's business as usual, then it means people will still have safe havens in terms of. But I agree with your view of Parliament failing.
You don't
Kenya.
even call out your own colleagues whom you know. You don't even name them.
They're named. It's actually in the public domain. By the way, they're named. Parliament has a lot of even these committee reports that are churned out every day. Pick, pack, everywhere. Even that one for NYS. They were actually named, I think, by EACC. There was a whole list. It was actually tabled by president in Parliament.
Yes.
When does it go?
Then after that, it died.
Sanitization.
So
Parliament has just become the laundromat. Weka hapa, toka pande lengine, clean.
No, we know where people go for
Safi.
laundry, but
10 minutes
we
to
don't
10.
want to say where they go for laundry, but it's unfortunate.
Let's
the
take
way.
a final break
It is
here in the Situation Room. Keep it right here. We'll be back shortly.
Bunge ilikufa.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life.
Japan, biotechnology, yes! Hey, Samuel, are you into business now? What are you importing from Japan? Knowledge! I'm going to study biotechnology in the best university in Japan. I applied and ta-da! Japan? Yes! You will have to first learn Japanese. No, my friend. They have more than 850 courses that are provided in English and very affordable. Hey, how do I apply? Kuja Osome Japan. Study in Japan Global Network Project brings you an opportunity to study in Japan. Log on to www.studyinjapan-africa.com and apply to study in Japan with over 100 universities providing cutting-edge science and technology courses including the field of robotics.
Welcome to Spice FM, the best exclusive radio station bringing you the best mix of the best music ever.
It's now 10 minutes to 10. We still have about 10 minutes of a conversation with Martha Wangari, the MP for Gilgil constituency, BBI, the yes, and looking at the now, and then what the BBI promises to be canon. So right now, Parliament is not working to the way it should be working. And you want to tell me Mheshimiwa, that Canaan, after BBI, Parliament will be better with 600 members of Parliament. It will actually now
By the way, it's
serve
not
the
about the
people.
number. It's never about the number. I think it's about the people who are inside there doing their work.
So will the resolve, this is my question.
Yeah.
Because now you've talked about this as it is, Mheshimiwa, that, we've failed, we've not been able to do this. The BBI now will bring a reawakening that will then make it work. I really want to understand
the
how that's
misconception
going to work.
of BBI will not solve all these problems, by the way. It will be unfortunate. We cannot lie to people that it will solve these problems. Some of these things are actually not about the law. Some are about personal drive and goodwill.
And values.
Because when you get there, when you're elected, you swear to an oath, to protect the people. And that is why we raise the issues, even when they are unpopular. I remember that time we were debating Finance Act and we were saying, you cannot raise the price of kerosene with 8 shillings. That was for me one of the biggest issues because it touches on the local mwananchi. So we will still do our work. And Bunge has tried. Of course, it has not performed like 100%, but who has? Even executive has not performed 100%. But I think there's still room for us to do better in terms of parliament, in our oversight. We are still doing it. And I say that because every day these issues come to the committees. And what members or what the public sees is the gallery or the plenary. But most of the work we do is actually
in the committees.
You'll get the Public Accounts Committee, you'll get the Public Investment Committee, the issues that have come to the fore that were faulty, like the KAA, people have whistleblowed even in Parliament. And I think we've done our bit. In terms of corruption, we have done a bit, but some have also partaken. And I say that because you cannot have 100%. Hata meno haitoshani. There are people who are still, naiko kwa mdomo moja. So there are still people who will get into the trap of corruption. It doesn't mean that now the whole institution is totally dead or totally bad.
Unfortunately, that is the conclusion
That's
we come
the thing.
to.
Yes.
Because we're judging you by outcome.
Yeah.
Mandate, power, you have. Outcome, dismal.
But, on defense of Parliament, I will tell you even now, there are people being investigated, even in Parliament, for CDF.
That happens all the time. In
The
fact,
outcome of investigations...
We even wonder why you people bother with it.
By the way, the outcomes of investigations are not in Parliament. They are outside our precincts because it goes to the DCI. You have to prove beyond reasonable doubt. The issue of Bill of Rights comes in because you have to be heard. So it is a lengthy process. But have we done our bit? We do our bit. Then someone rolls the tire.
You don't do your bit fully, and I'll tell you how.
Yes.
When you're making the law. So, for example, here we were talking about the issue of hate speech.
Yes.
All right. This law, as it's made in Parliament, then you've put in a clause there that says that you must prove. And then you put the threshold for the proof so high that this is actually hate speech.
It's not possible
and
to
said
prove
that there has
intent.
to be a complainant
Yes.
that this is hate speech. This was put in law by members of Parliament, knowing full well the game they were playing, knowing full well what they were doing. When a member of Parliament is convicted by a competent court in this republic, and then that member of Parliament, of course, following due process, goes and appeals, but comes back to the House. But members of Parliament will now be the ones who are cheering this member of Parliament, welcoming him.
Welcome
Come
back
on,
to
what
work.
message are you sending to the people?
I think, you cannot legislate bad manners. That's unfortunate because some of these things, I would say, is just bad manners. Even the corruption, the laws are there. But I think we have also forgotten even God in terms of we just steal and steal and steal more. But I agree with you in terms of you balkanize us. But I think any institution, even you, when CT has something, you'll still be with him. He's your colleague. But but I think it's unfortunate. The laws are not tight enough.
Have you seen how I have been compared to a corrupt MP?
No. I just say it as a
Have you seen?
As a colleague.
Ukipata deal CT, I will not ostracize you as long as unione kitu.
But Eric, especially the issues of corruption. If you remember, some members have even been put incarcerated for some time in terms of corruption issues, in terms of hate speech. We've seen crackdown being done. So even with the existing law the way it is possible to send a proper message.
It is not a crackdown, it's window dressing. Let me tell you.
What is that?
If we saw, and you mentioned it in passing here, people being jailed, the way people who steal chicken are jailed, okay? And people who are caught peeing in the public are jailed. If basic small infringements of the law, okay, and I'm calling them small, okay? If we saw that, jailed for sure, not kept overnight.
Yes,
but
and
kept
then
for a week.
released.
That's not jailing. Okay,
Not held in hospital.
A full scholarship where you go to committee.
And
okay?
nobody's hearing you when you say you have a tummy ache and you cannot appear in
Exactly,
court that
and you are
morning.
there for a year, and we know you are there. Not you have a
And I think it has
representative
happened.
in
We
committee
saw,
with your
is it Kakuo? We saw someone.
Imagine.
Yeah, you know.
He
put
was not a politician.
Incarcerated. He was a
not a
politician.
politician.
He was a
He only
politician.
vied and he didn't even get
He was a
elected.
politician. So I think for me, Bunge has no prosecutory role. But if the judiciary worked properly and the other institutions, the message will be sent.
Mheshimiwa, stop.
Yes.
We are not judging you
Yes.
based on what other bodies or other arms of government are supposed to do.
But we are doing ours.
Are you, no. You are falling so far short of what you're supposed to do. You see, it's not you, Mheshimiwa.
No, I
Martha
understand.
Wangari.
It's parliament.
It is parliament.
We take the fall.
Unfortunately, when you hang out with people who are thieves, you can't blame us for calling you.
Mushera with Mukondo.
Yes.
The perfume falls.
But the constitution says you have to prove beyond reasonable doubt. That is actually why we are having issues, even with terrorism in this country, because they will go and get a bond. Then they will join the next Al-Shabaab because they are out and the constitution says so.
Yeah.
And you have to be hard and they say, I've not been proven to be a terrorist. So that process still has to go because it's a right for
And
anyone.
I think it is because we don't want a situation where people who are innocent are being
Are also witch hunted,
Yes,
you know.
exactly.
We don't want
We
that.
don't.
Yeah.
But you think it actually stops people who have the means and the power from incarcerating if they want to? They will.
Against the law.
Mheshimiwa Martha Wangari.
I think for sure
Yeah.
our constitution and our Bill of Rights is quite elaborate. And in this BBI, they have actually touched it in terms of putting the responsibilities so that you don't just get the rights, you get the responsibilities, even for national unity. But you know what I was saying, Eric? It's like trying to legislate bad manners because some of these things, like hate speech, insightful talks, are basically bad manners
Yep.
because you want to ignite fire for what? So I think some of these things, and it's the unfortunate bit, is that the laws are there. It's just about implementing it.
Mheshimiwa, it was your first time on the show.
Yes.
And we have enjoyed your company
Thank
so
you.
much. We hope
I've
to
really
have you
enjoyed the
again
show.
here.
I didn't even know 1 hour is gone.
Can you imagine?
1
Time
hour is
flies
such a
when
short
you
Yeah,
have
it
fun.
goes very quickly.
So,
Clearly.
a message not only to the people of Gilgil
Yes.
constituency, but to the people of Kenya, especially with regards to BBI. Why yes?
First of all, one message I would want to stick with, and I say that knowing very well I come from the Rift Valley, we have a volatile piece in that area, and I want to give them an illustration I gave in the morning on KTN. When Honorable Mudavadi lost the mother, no top echelon didn't visit. The president was there, the deputy president was there, the former prime minister was there. At the end of the day, even us, when we come to you, yokieleweke, I don't know, your tanga. When you go to parliament, we'll sit together and we'll eat together. So I want to appeal that regardless of whatever happens, Kenya is still one. We still need each other. You need your neighbor. So it's good to maintain the peace. On the BBI, I think there are many issues why we need to pass it. One reason I would say is the issue of representation for me. And I said everyone has something they want in that BBI, and that's why it will get attraction from every side. The Ward Development Fund is not a bad idea. Of course, it will need an operationalization law like we have for CDF, so that you know, like in my CDF, I have said 100 million. I know 35 million goes to bursaries, 35% outright. The rest will go to admin and a few here and there. Then development will take, say, 50% or 45%. So it has to have a law that will operationalize it. That way, then we'll know what is prioritized even at the count. But this now will come after this one is law. The other one is the issue of course, the gender parity. We have come a long way. Normally people say we are many women in parliament, but I tell them out of 290, we are only 23. We are not even, out of the 290 constituencies, we are not even 10%. But of course, because of women rep, and it makes us look many. But I want to say here, as a woman, I've passed a bill in parliament. Even if all the women voted for it, it will still not pass. We'll still need the men. So we still are a long way to go. But it's progress. And I think BBI addresses that in the Senate in terms of having 50%. And it also gives an exit clause of 3 elections that it closes. After that, we should have gotten enough women who have run and who are elected.
And elect women directly.
Yes, elected. And they elect them directly, whether from MCA to the governor level. There are many issues that we are addressed in the BBI. The issue of the resources, the 35, I think it's a good idea. Of course, people will say corruption, we have not seen what it has done. And I say, even at the national level, there's corruption. let us not demonize this model of devolution that is bringing services closer to the people. The more the resources, the closer it gets. A dispensary here and there will get equipped, will get a nurse. And I think the things that matter to Kenyans mostly is everyday survival and health. If you are able to address the issue of health, we'll save Kenyans a lot of trouble, because like we said earlier, the issue of cancer, you'll see, it makes a family destitute, first of all, and then the person still dies, and you get even bodies detained in hospitals. So I think if we get the diagnostic centers closer to the people, equip the hospitals, it will make more sense. So let us try the 35%, and I know it will make a difference.
Asante sana. Martha Wangari is MP for Gilgil. We'll be having you soon again in the Situation Room. Thank you very much for tuning into the Situation Room today. Join us again tomorrow, the first Thursday of the week, the 25th day of February, and we'll be here from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Siti Muga, Nduoko, and Eric Latif bidding you goodbye. It's 3 minutes after 10.